If you've ever been ready for the entire house to smell like Thanksgiving cooking, we're almost there. And go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Tuesday, November 25th edition. We are almost at the Thanksgiving break, but we've got some news here this morning. We've got a market that looks like it wants to try and keep trading higher. Got some more news flow, more chip news. Google's higher here this morning. Lots of green stuff out there. We're going to break it down. We got a T3 Tuesday coming here. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Tuesday edition for November 25th, 2025, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful Monday evening. We're back for another day here of market prep and trading, as we've got 2 more days before Thanksgiving here, and we're going to have some more stuff here today. We've got some news drops. We've got the ADP coming, the delayed PPI and retail sales is coming. We had Zoom last night. We've got a couple more earnings here tonight. Got a lot of stuff to go on, even on this truncated week. Great to be back with everybody here. Solitary Soldier is first here today. Let's go. Good morning, everyone. Indeed. And congrats on first. Bonus points for you. Alan earlier had said, "Where's oil going today? Does anyone have any idea?" Brian immediately responded. Thank you, Brian, for responding before the show even started. Love that you guys are chatting before the show even starts. That's how good of a group we have here. Russia just resumed oil loadings after being suspended due to drone attacks. I expect some more pressure on oil. Then we got a headline that Ukraine, in principle, is accepting the peace deal, and that drove oil lower here. So, Brian, good call. Alan, hopefully you're able to take advantage of that. Looks like there's some good news on the horizon. Peter, welcome back. Good morning. Corey, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Big Dave, good morning. Sean, good morning. Welcome back. Gangster Day and Ondas, indeed. Let's see if we get another one. EMPD Back in Business. That was a good album. That was their 97 album, right? Not to be confused with the song Strictly Business, which is also pretty good. By the way, after our little discussion yesterday, I know it wasn't EPMD, but I queued up Eric Sermon's song Music, which is a great track if you've never heard it before. Thanks for all of you entertaining me on that. Neville, good morning. Welcome back. Marty, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Empyrean, it's good as always. Welcome back. Kevin, welcome back. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. Neville, good morning. EKS, good morning. Brandy, good morning. Harvey, good morning. Jim, good morning. Yes, that girl, good morning. Sunny Jupiter, Florida. When I first read that, I was like, bro out here thinks he's all the way out at Jupiter. You must have some pretty bad ping, but Jupiter, Florida makes a lot more sense. I hear the golf down there is incredible, by the way. Got to make it down there. Positive Trader. That is an animal fan right there, and I am here for it. Good morning. Welcome back. Free Diddy Tomorrow. Good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader. Good morning. Welcome back. Producers locked in, fighting through it. As always, we appreciate the effort, producer. Graf, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Nightslants, good morning. Uncle Dracula checking in from Transylvania. We're ready to go now. JJ, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Yes, so fine. Good morning. Just passing through. Good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, Maverick and Rooster, good morning. Archangel, good morning. Austin, it's great to see you again. Chris, good morning. Our Luke, good morning. Super Nintendo, God, is that a good handle? I'm actually jealous I didn't think of that handle, which is with as many hours as I poured into Super Nintendo when I was younger. What a great handle. Good morning. Welcome back. Haby, good morning. Good morning to everybody but Michael Burry. That's a good one. That's a good way to start the day. Dara, good morning. Welcome back. Eris Stock Market, good morning. Welcome back. Angelito, it's good to see you. Matthew, welcome back. Kelly, good morning. Father, I'm just going to call you Father. It's too long of a name. Good morning. Welcome back. First stream to catch. Love it. Appreciate you. Hopefully we'll keep seeing you back here. Durkis and Cam and Lambo Rolls, good morning. Let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. Futures basically flattish here this morning. They're actually a little bit up off of their lows too, as we just recently got news about Ukraine accepting a peace deal in principle there. S&P futures actually down 0.02%. They were just at unchanged. The Dow futures are at unchanged, and the NASDAQ futures are down 0.14%. Those were also a little bit higher earlier today. So basically right around unchanged. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from last session here. Communication services, information technology, and consumer discretionary stocks recorded the biggest gains on Monday, while consumer staples and energy names bucked the trend to close lower. President Trump has launched the Genesis mission. It's a Manhattan Project-style mobilization of America's 17 national laboratories aimed at building the world's most powerful AI scientific platform. This historic effort aims to double the nation's research productivity within a decade, ensuring U.S. global dominance in energy, national security, and technological innovation. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.03%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.49%. We do have several stocks in focus today. The first one here is going to be Dell, ticker DELL. That was down 0.5% in the pre-market on Tuesday, as it is expected to report earnings after the closing bell here today. Analysts are expecting $2.39 per share of revenue. $2.39 per share on revenue of $27.28 billion. Next stock in our list here is ticker HPQ, which is Hewlett Packard. That was 0.16% lower, as analysts expected to report earnings of 92 cents per share on revenue of $14.7 billion. Alphabet is our next stock on the list here. Stop me if you've heard this before. Alphabet has been in the news a lot recently. They gained 2.14% following reports that Meta could use Google's AI chips in its data centers. That would be the TPUs from Google. Zoom is our next stock on the list. That's ticker ZM. That jumped 3.14% after posting better than expected third quarter results and raising its full year 2026 guidance. The EPS of 152 beat the 144 estimate, and sales of 1.23 billion beat the 1.214 billion estimate. So beat on the top and the bottom line there for Zoom, ticker ZM. Last ticker on our list here is Semtech. That's ticker SMTC. It dropped 5.7% after reporting mixed financial results for the third quarter of fiscal 2026. Its revenue of $267 million missed analyst estimates of $268.83 million, and adjusted earnings of 48 cents per share beat the consensus estimate of 45 cents per share. All right, folks, let's take a look at the SPY chart and see where we sit. That really clean bounce off the 100-day moving average that we talked about yesterday, extended yesterday, closing right beneath the 50-day moving average. And in fact, I have the closing price at 668.73, and today I have our 50-day moving average at 669.45. It was actually a little bit lower yesterday. We still closed under it. The good news is that we did close above the 667.34 previous all-time high breakout level, and we are smack dab right back in the middle of that channel. Top end of that channel is at 673. Basically right back there. We're just shy of the 50-day moving average, and we're actually not far from the 20-day moving average, which is only 20 cents beneath the previous all-time high breakout level and top end of that range. So today, I would say our key levels to the upside here, very, very close to these key levels. 669.5, we can call it. That would be your 50. 672.81, that's going to be your 20, and then 673. Furthermore, we probably would test this trend line. That would be somewhere around 681-ish. That would also be a key level to the upside. If we do break that in particular, let me extend this a little bit. If we break this trend line, SPY at least looks like it may resume that uptrend. Too early to say if that's what we're going to get, but definitely something to watch here, especially with respect to the closing candles that we're going to get at the end of the day. To the downside, we would definitely be taking a look at 667.25. That's only 2 points away from where we're at now. And then probably we would look at the bottom of this candle. Let's just call it 662-ish. What is the actual close of that candle there. Low here is 661.59. It opened at 662.69. So I would say somewhere right around 662 would also represent one of those support levels. Okay, let's take a look at what some insights from analysts are here today, or what analysts are saying. See if we can garner some insight from them. LPL Research presents a resilient outlook for the U.S. economy and equity markets underpinned by robust corporate adaptability. Despite potential headwinds from tariffs, companies have successfully protected margins, and GDP growth could reach an annualized 3%. The report notes that, quote, expectations keep rising, the bar keeps going higher, and corporate America continues to clear it handily, end quote. Looking forward, AI-driven productivity is expected to be a primary tailwind, with S&P 500 operating margins forecasted to exceed 17.5% within a year. However, the report warns that current valuations reflect significant optimism, leading to muted price reaction, even for earnings beats. Consequently, LPL maintains a tactical neutral stance on equities. I think this one's probably my favorite. I would also consider myself in the tactical neutral stance on equities. I understand a little bit of a breakdown, or I understand a pullback to reset some of the valuations, but I just don't see some of the gloom and doom 10-year bear market that others are talking about. However, the report warns that current valuations reflect significant optimism, leading to muted price reaction. While acknowledging near-term risks, they believe the broader market's long-term uptrend remains intact, potentially creating a dip buying opportunity between now and the year end. How many of you have already been dipping your toe in the dip buying opportunity that we've got recently? I'd be curious. Strategically, the committee continues to favor large cap growth stocks in the communication services sector, highlighting that the earnings growth gap between mega cap tech and the rest of the market is still huge. Now, as a reminder here on the upcoming economic data, September's delayed U.S. retail sales and headline and core PPI will be out by 8:30 here today. September's S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index for 20 cities will be released at 9, and August's delayed business inventories data, November's consumer confidence data, and October's pending home sales data will be out by 10. So we are actually expecting some data here today now that the government is reopened. Now, talk a little bit more here. Are the roaring 2020s still alive? Ed Yardeni says 2026 could surprise everybody. Despite inflation staying stubbornly above 3%, AI reshaping the labor market, and political uncertainty heading into 2026, Wall Street veteran analyst Ed Yardeni still sees a bull market marching on, and he's not backing off his bold thesis of a decade-long boom. In his latest note on Tuesday, Yardeni sounded as confident as ever, describing 26 as, quote, just another year of the roaring 2020s, end quote, a term he coined back in 2020 when the U.S. economy was just beginning to emerge from the pandemic's grip. Now, with GDP, consumption, and corporate profits all sitting at record highs, he says the data supports the idea that a decade-long rally still has legs. Back in 2020, Yardeni predicted that the post-COVID era would mirror the roaring 1920s, powered this time not by electricity or automobiles, but a new wave of technology that supplements or replaces the brain. Quote, today's innovations produced by the IT industry are revolutionizing lots of other ones, including manufacturing, energy, transportation, healthcare, and education, end quote. He credits what BCA research dubbed the brain revolution, biotech, robotics, artificial intelligence, and nanotech, as the backbone of the modern productivity boom. If I stop right there, this right here, this brain revolution, I'm actually disappointed that we haven't really been talking about this more, because big time shout out to everyone that's here. These are exactly the type of stocks, whether they're big cap or small cap, that we've really been focusing on. I mean, we really just had Kathy talking to us about the biotech move and all of the different trades that we see on a regular day for that. Robotics, I feel like we talk about every day, along with artificial intelligence and nanotechnology, definitely a part of the previous three. Maybe we don't focus on that enough, but we certainly cover news in that. So we're all about this brain revolution right here. And I agree. I think we were going to see some more going forward in the near term here. I don't necessarily think we're going to have some type of big pullback that resets all of this. I think this is going to keep going on. While the job market appears to be weaker on the surface, especially for new college grads, he believes rising output per worker will keep the economy on firm footing. I remember when I finished up college right after 2008, after I had just made a whole bunch of networking contacts in real estate, none of them could help me. I completely understand what it feels like for new college grads entering the workforce. It's not always great timing. I've been there. I've been there, and it sucks, but there is a way. And we'll see if the economy can help out with that. He goes on to say, quote, the unemployment rate is likely to end this year at 4.5%, primarily because of the rising jobless rate among recent college graduates due to the rapid proliferation of AI. The same may be said about 2026. Yardeni's stock market forecast remains one of the most optimistic on Wall Street. He expects S&P 500 operating earnings per share to rise from $268 in 2025 to $310 in 2026, eventually climbing to $450 by 2029. Assuming the market maintains a forward price-to-earnings ratio between 18 and 22, he projects the index, as tracked by Vanguard's VOO, could reach 9,000 to 11,000 by the end of the decade. Quote, let's split the difference, aim for 10,000 by the end of the roaring 2020s. That would be a 210% gain from the close at 2019 of 3,230, a return magnitude seen in multiple past decades. Yardeni isn't calling for the collapse of the AI trade, but he believes recent concentration in mega-cap tech stocks is unsustainable. Quote, almost all of the bubble is in the information technology and communication services sector, end quote, which together now make up 45% of the S&P 500's market cap. Instead of overweighting those sectors, Yardeni recommends a more balanced allocation with increased exposure to financials, industrials, and healthcare, which he now sees as a rising star heading into 2026. All of this here, none of this is really new. This diversification has been around as long as stocks have been around. It looks like Yardeni is saying the same thing here. He does go on to paint a picture of disinflation, not a recession. While the Fed continues to battle inflation, Yardeni indicates the economy may be naturally disinflating thanks to stronger productivity growth. He highlights that unit labor costs, a key driver of wage inflation, rose just 2.5% year over year in the second quarter and could fall further in 2026. If that happens, he says, the Fed may finally hit its 2% inflation target next year. His base case for monetary policy includes one rate cut in 2026, which would bring the federal funds rate to 350 to 375, with 10-year yields remaining in the 4 to 5% range, levels he views as neutral, neither stimulative nor restrictive. Yardeni also expects the Federal Reserve to become more independent in 2026, even despite President Trump likely appointing a dovish replacement for Jerome Powell when his term ends in May. Yardeni remains bullish on gold, calling for a jump to 5,000. Lion, I know you got to be happy about that. Bullish on gold, jump to 5,000 by the end of 2026 and 10,000 by 2029, driven by central bank buying, Chinese retail demand, and geopolitical uncertainty. Again, nothing changing on that front. But his view on Bitcoin is far less rosy. The 2025 Genius Act opened the door for stablecoins to be used in payments, removing one of Bitcoin's core use cases. Quote, the recent severe sell-off suggests that it might be digital fool's gold, end quote. He expects another rough year ahead for Michael Saylor's strategy, which holds a large Bitcoin position. He wouldn't be alone there. Seems like a lot of people are kind of after Saylor right now. While past dips have been buying opportunities, he doesn't see a compelling reason to buy the dip this time. Ever since Yardeni first floated his roaring 2020s thesis, skeptics have asked whether the roaring decade must end in a crash. After all, that's what happened in the 1930s. Yardeni's answer, Not necessarily. Quote, Trump's tariffs have already stress tested the U.S. and global economies for a 1930s style Smoot-Hawley scenario without much signs of stress, end quote. And if the brain revolution keeps driving productivity and profits, the party could last well into the next decade. As long as productivity keeps rising, growth will follow, even if jobs and inflation don't behave like they used to. God, I'm certain I heard some group of people saying that recently. That's strange. Now, this is another interesting story here. Kind of got a kick out of this one personally. Hopefully, this one doesn't rub people the wrong way. The CEO of Futurum Group, Daniel Newman, blasted the current wave of bearish sentiment surrounding NVIDIA on Tuesday, calling the theories that forced the chip behemoth to formally deny comparisons to historical frauds as, quote, garbage. Newman took to X on Tuesday to express exasperation that a dominant tech leader was forced to address such extreme allegations. Quote, the fact NVIDIA needed to even write a memo explaining that it isn't Enron is a testament to the power of viral stupidity, end quote. He added that such extraordinary defensive measures wouldn't be required if, quote, garbage conspiracy nonsense didn't spread so easily, end quote. I would love to get this guy and Michael Burry in the same room with maybe a little bit of wine, a little bit of spirits mixed in there. I would love that. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that, without a doubt. Without a doubt. For anyone that's interested in actually going through Newman's tweet and the accompanying info, here it is. There's a link to the story there. Newman's defense follows a report that NVIDIA sent a private memo to Wall Street analysts explicitly refuting claims that its current financial situation is analogous to accounting scandals like Enron or WorldCom. According to reports of the memo obtained by Barron's, NVIDIA pushed back hard on accounting accusations, stating that its business is, quote, economically sound, end quote, with transparent reporting. The company emphasized that, unlike Enron, NVIDIA does not use special purpose entities to hide debt and inflate revenue. No, instead, they just do this whole circular thing with all of the other companies. Am I right? The defensive posture from NVIDIA comes amid intensified scrutiny from prominent bears, most notably the Big Shorts investor Michael Burry. Burry recently launched a newsletter attacking NVIDIA's role in the AI boom, comparing its trajectory to Cisco during the dot-com crash. He further argued that NVIDIA's $112.5 billion in share buybacks since 2018 added zero value because they merely offset dilution from employee stock compensation. So is offsetting dilution from stock compensation not value? Interesting. NVIDIA shares have outpaced the broader market this year, climbing 32% year to date compared to returns of 18.63% for the NASDAQ Composite and 18.58% for the NASDAQ 100. On Monday, the stock finished the regular session up 2.05% at 182.55 apiece before falling 1.5% in extended trading. Over the last year, the stock's gained 34.21%. So NVIDIA, it's in a good long-term trend. It's actually given up its medium and short-term trend, which is fairly interesting, but extremely, extremely high scores on the Benzinga proprietary rankings. And actually, really quick, while we've got some time here, let's go take a quick peek at the NVIDIA chart. Got a couple of minutes before we do our T3 guest here. Here's where NVIDIA's chart sits here. To my eye, it sure looks like this wants to roll over a little bit more here today. It's also worth noting that this is down today on the back of the Google news, that Google's going to use some of its chips, that Meta is going to use some of Google's chips, excuse me. In fact, before I butcher this again, let's just go to that story so we can get it straight here. Alphabet shares are hitting new highs in Monday after our session, and then again here in the pre-market on Tuesday, following reports that Meta could use Google's AI chips in its data center. Alphabet's Google is in talks with Meta and other cloud customers about a potential deal that would allow Meta to use Google AI chips in data centers as the company's rivalry with NVIDIA heats up. That came initially from the information. Alphabet shares hit new highs in after-hours trading on Monday, last up 2% at the closing of the regular session and up more than 6%. The report indicates that Google is accelerating efforts to compete directly with NVIDIA in the AI chip market. The company's TPUs, or tensor processing units, are designed to optimize performance and cost for AI workloads from training to inference. NVIDIA shares were moving in the opposite direction, down about 2.05%, and it has extended some of those losses here today. Alphabet shares have been on a tear in recent months. This has been a great trade from our group here recently as well. I know several folks are swinging this. A lot of other folks ended up scalping this. It's been on a tear in recent months, rallying approximately 52% since mid-September. The stock has soared in recent weeks amid the release of Gemini 3, which has received overwhelmingly positive feedback. So again, really quick here, let's go back to the charts. Let's take a look at the move in Google. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Congrats to all of the Google holders here. If I just back out, I mean, hell, buying this on Thursday near the close, you'd have paid $290 for it. It's 40 plus points higher here Tuesday morning. Thursday to Tuesday, 40 plus points on the back of this news. Google's made an absolutely great move. This is what the daily chart looks like. It does look like we're getting a little bit extended here. We just entered overbought territory with respect to the RSI. The big thing for me is look how extended this stock is away from a lot of these moving averages. So I understand the Google pullback, or the waiting for a Google pullback for a particular trade, but this company is absolutely smacking it right now. And the stock price shows that. All right, folks. It's Tuesday, which means it's a T3 Tuesday. Let's go ahead and bring on our T3 guest here today. Charlie, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, always. Look, we had a lot of news recently. I think the last time we had you on was in August, so kind of a lot changed between then and now. And I know I just want to, I guess, start off here with the AI trade. Do you have any thoughts on NVIDIA, Google, Meta, or any of the other stocks connected to the AI trade?
Well, you could see how strong Google's been,
Absolutely.
especially in the last 2 days. They've been in a straight up breakout, and they're looking to extend on that today. Now, the thing with Nvidia is that being as strong and I guess frothy as they've been, any kind of news like this is going to have them kind of get knocked back. But this is a stock that's going to pick itself up, and it's really good. This is how we actually push in terms of technology by having
Mhm.
competition. With Nvidia monopolizing basically the early AI trade, it's really good to see development from names like Google. Meta itself is just trying to stay, afloat in the AI race. So they're doing everything they can. They're not just going to be focused on Google. They're going to focus on anybody that could essentially help them in the AI arms race. So, this is just something that it's not overly surprising. Google's development in the sector has been accelerating from their first iteration of Gemini to their newest iteration of Gemini. It's quite the difference. And, you could see that Google's really trying to position themselves. They don't want to be just known as a search engine and, stream content provider with YouTube.
Yep.
They're really trying to make some noise in this industry, and this, quite honestly, if it's going to be a stepping stone in that direction, is going to be a huge propellant for Google in the long term. This is not going to be where we find the top on Google by any means.
Yeah, it sure doesn't feel like that. And the reason I wanted to start with this is because the last time that we were together, you talked about looking for catalysts that are going to move stocks. And to me, this sure feels like one. I guess part of the question I have here is with all of this news out, where do we sit here? Do we see maybe a continuation bounce from Meta here off to 500? Do we see Google extending its gains into new all-time high territory? Does NVIDIA continue to pull back from here? What are your thoughts here on the next move for any of these companies?
Well, this for me is more of a sustainable push for Google. People are going to be looking to take profits pretty early on the stock. They've done it here over the last few sessions where it's gapped up, pull back, gapped up, pull back. But yesterday it gapped and went, and it's almost as if Wall Street knew this news was coming because I guess the early morning trade, they were really, really strong about the first 30 minutes in. They started rolling back while the market started moving up, but they picked themselves up, pretty much closed on the highs, and then after hours they're making this move. So, they're in this breakout zone. The candlestick yesterday showed breakout behavior. It wouldn't surprise me if they follow through with that. Even if it pulls back, for short-term traders, they're going to be viewing this as a opportunity to get in on the dip. For Meta's been struggling. They opened below their 200-day moving average, immediately found sellers at that level. They dropped nearly $100 off of that price. They've been basically holding 580 or fighting around 580 for the last 4 days. Showed some real strength yesterday by closing above the 10 EMA, which is always a good indication that a stock is starting to change sentiment. Following through today, they're already up around $8-9 at this moment.
Mhm.
So Meta's just, this is a company that makes 40 to 45 billion dollars a quarter. They weren't going to be down for long. This is great value, and again, this is just another reason to look to buy into Meta. In terms of
Okay.
Nvidia, Nvidia's had this news, or had to face this news, in terms of increasing competition going on for what, a year and a half, 2 years. They may get knocked back off of the throne, but they're getting right back on. It's just going to turn into a great buying opportunity in the long run. So, where would Nvidia try and pivot? I guess in the near term right now, based on the pricing, they've been really fairly active around this 173, 174 price. I would actually think that they're going to test this little gap at around 170. They still have, pretty good support up to 164. It's when they lose 164, I'd be a little concerned that Nvidia has some momentum to the downside.
Now, do you think I'm looking at the daily chart here and I see a 200-day moving average on Nvidia sitting at 153? I'm thinking to myself, boy, I would love to be able to have Nvidia hold its 200 and be able to add at a discount. You think that's even in the realm of possibility here, or is that probably too
I
far?
mean, never say never.
Yeah.
Nvidia at the peak hit a really quick double top. They've been kind of working underneath their moving averages. They've closed below the 50 for multiple days now. It's been the first time they've done that since earlier this year with the tariff news. So that's why that 164, that's that kind of major swing low that we saw, a kind of a V reversal pivot early September, right on the 5th. So if we lose that level, it pretty much ensures that they're going to try and make a run for that 153. Frankly, and quite honestly, we've seen some of these mega caps, like again, Meta, just not hold these levels, and
Yeah.
Netflix not hold these levels. But you know, uh, people, especially nowadays, traders are so geared to looking at things so short term that they're kind of just trying to capitalize on the weakness. But long term, even if it slides below that 200-day moving average, this is just going to be a great opportunity to buy in on the lows. I highly doubt that they lose that 153 level, but if they do, I'll be looking right around 144. That's a floor trader level. That's where the previous resistance has acted as support, and that's probably where that bottom line price is going to be. Around $70 off the highs is going to be great value, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially looking at the chart here. Folks, learn how to use Charlie's AI system to pinpoint high profit potential trade setups, even in the most volatile markets, in his free live webinar. We got the QR code on the screen. We'll go ahead and throw the link in the chat for any of you to sign up for that. Charlie, I'm going to ask you about your AI time machine system here in a sec. But before I do that, let me go ahead and just read off some of the data that we were expecting here. I'm just going to roll through it here. S&P up slightly. It's actually up 0.03%. It was down 0.02% when we started the show here, so it really hasn't moved a whole lot so far. U.S. retail sales month over month for September, 0.2 versus the 0.4 estimate. Retail control month over month for September, negative 0.1 versus the positive 0.3 estimate. U.S. PPI month over month for September, 0.3 versus the 0.3 estimate. U.S. PPI year over year for September, 2.7 versus the 2.7 estimate. U.S. core PPI year over year for September, 2.6 versus the 2.7 estimate. And U.S. core PPI year over year for September, 2.6 versus the 2.7 estimate. So there was the data that we were expecting. Again, S&P actually just went to unchanged here. So it's dancing a little bit, but really nothing extraordinary yet. We'll see how that shakes out when we actually get closer to the open. Now, Charlie, the last time that you came on, you told us about your AI system called trade machine.
Mhm.
Can you tell us anything else about it, what it's looking at, or what you might be looking at off the back of that?
I think, well, because of the recent shakeout in tech, a lot of tech names are going to be showcasing over the next week or so, especially if this rally sustains. It really tends to shine during volatility. The biggest in terms of activity and opportunity this year was presented during the early shakeouts in Feb, March, April, back into June. So this was, probably when it shined the most, I would say, this calendar year. So seeing this kind of volatility in the markets, this is where a lot of traders kind of trade with some confusion, some fear,
Mhm.
obviously with some greed, because people are going to be looking to try to hit home runs in this environment, which is probably the most dangerous thing to do.
Yep.
This is where the AI system can really shine. It can pinpoint some great opportunities. It can really time tech well. The most recent trade was actually I didn't actually take it because it was a bit too expensive, but it was pointing and alluding to Meta last week
Mhm.
as a pivot reversal, as a long term play. It was a diagonal 30 days and 60 days out. If the trade didn't cost $2,200 for the spread, I would have been all over it. But since then, Meta's only been climbing, and now at this point, set to open 40 points higher since that moment. So, in terms of timing and opportunity, it always does shine in those moments, and that's really what I love about it is that you know instead of trying to do hours and hours of research, trying to pinpoint names and figure out what stocks to trade, it's literally just going to drop a ton of names into your lap every single day. And really, it's just up to the trader
Mhm.
because, not every chart looks the same, but in terms of the setup, it should. And so if it doesn't have a particular look, I tend to try and avoid it. I don't want to be trading into key resistance and seeing these pivots. We had to avoid Carvana here in recent days. Carvana's had these pretty big jumps. It's gotten close to the target level, but it's gotten knocked back. And so, you don't want to be faced in a situation where you're dealing with, an $8 up move and then an $8 retracement and really not be able to take profits. So, there's always going to be kind of moments where we have to pick and choose wisely, but the fact that it's always going to present these names, and if we could pinpoint the ones that we like, it just makes our jobs as traders a lot easier here.
Do you have a couple that you like right now?
Yeah, so actually, I'm kind of trying to front run what the system's going to suggest today. Palantir is one of the names that I'm looking at.
Okay.
Carvana is interesting as well. Carvana has made this move in the near term, and I believe that it has this opportunity to jump. Um, I had CRDO on my watch list as well. That's going to be one of the names that I'm watching here. So, we've seen a lot of the AI plays start coming back. CRDO, IREN. These are two names that I think that
Okay.
could be presented. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the crypto names show up, but the crypto's down right now. BTC is down right now. But if it does show up, one of the names that I will be looking at is either CLSK or Riot. So nothing's showing up right now because everything starts triggering at the open. It's looking at price action at the open and then seeing where the technical base setup is. But in recent days, and most notably yesterday, Tesla had flagged on the list, and we saw Tesla jump $21 right at the open. So,
Yeah.
I wish I had a chance into Tesla. Tesla, there's a continuation trade today. Tesla rejected at the 21 EMA. So I'm really looking for an effective breakout above 422. I believe
Okay.
above 422 is going to make a run to 433. So that's the follow through play I would be looking for.
Okay. I'm just taking notes of your levels there. Really good stuff. So, all right. Is there any other stock that you wanted to cover? I wanted to ask you about a couple from the last time that we were on. I think we talked about VKTX. Actually, I believe my memory is not the greatest, but I want to say that we had you on right before this drop, maybe even the same, it would have been Tuesday. So it would have been this day. I believe it was Tuesday, August 19th. And
Oh,
so it would
yeah.
have been this day that VKTX really sold off. Now, since then, it closed the gap. Do you have any update here on VKTX?
Yeah, no, they actually, I think when we were talking about it, because I actually have a drawing here, and I think it was based on that day. that we're looking right around this 23, 24 price. It ended up rallying. It ended up holding that level.
Yep.
Oh, it ran up to the recent highs here at 42. It's pullback. So right now it's set up what's known as an inside candle. It came down to the 50-day SMA and starting to hold there. And that's always a good sign when stocks are, finding buyers trying to defend key levels. And setting up an inside candle, it's like a coiling effect. It really kind of gives you a glimpse that there's a battle between buyers and sellers. So a positive bullish trigger would be above 34.86 today, so 34.87 print. I think that it could at least jump to 36. I think 36.37 is the key hurdle. That's there. There's a congestion of multiple moving averages there, all short term. For me, when we look at short term moving averages, it's always going to be based on historical performance. Well, from the rally here from 23 on up, it's been riding the 10 EMA and the 21 EMA. And we don't want those to all of a sudden become resistance, because that's a very visual cue of bearish activity. So we want to be able to blast up through 37. That usually means a retracement back to the highs. So back to 40, 41. If it stalls out at 36, 37, you're probably going to have to ditch it really quick. And if it breaks down below 33 or 32 half, it's more likely to make a beeline straight to that 200-day moving average, right around that $30 psychological level.
Yep.
And that's going to be very critical here in the near term, whether it's going to retrace even further or not.
Okay. Good stuff there on VKTX. The others that we talked about, I guess, related to this, we talked about some of the other GLP-1 trades, and obviously you can't talk about that without starting with Lilly here, which has just made a ridiculous run. I've run out of superlatives for this, because this thing is just this 800 level, basically the move from the 200-day, which was actually just beneath 800. We're 270, almost 300 points higher than that. And this bounce happened middle of October. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. This is just an extraordinary move here for Eli Lilly. It doesn't look the same for NVO and HIMS, which we can take a look at. But do you have any thoughts here on Lilly, where we go from here?
Well, it's pretty clear who Wall Street believes is going to be the standout king.
I'd
right?
say.
Yeah, and the big thing here is Trump RX. It really stands out that, one, you're working with a government-backed entity, but number two as well, because of the price points, it makes it a lot more affordable, and it really offers up an opportunity to be able to target a demographic that they weren't normally able to go after. And more importantly, this is going to, because this is going to be accepted by Medicare, there's a really strong chance that insurance companies are going to change their tune as well. And so if insurance companies are coming on board and going to make this a lower price offering, or take their lower price offering and making it available in terms of coverage, um, this is partly why, Wall Street has piled into this trade. And, who knows where it's going to slow down. But the fact of the matter is that this is one of the more popular drugs out there. And people think that it's more for cosmetic reasons, but it's purely for health reasons. There's a lot of benefit. There's a lot. Quite honestly, this is actually a great idea for insurance companies to get involved, because this is to help things like diabetes and heart disease, which are really two offset killers from obesity. So again, it's a clear standout who Wall Street is going to believe is king. This is the trade to keep looking into. This is a buy the dip opportunity. It's a little scary now at these levels, but as long as they maintain, again, for me, I always look at the short term EMAs, the 10 EMA, the 21 EMA, and when stocks continue to show strength, they continue to ride these EMAs. You could just cross reference it with names like Micron and STX, and SanDisk, which are some of the best performing tech names this year. They were riding these levels for months upon months, so it wouldn't surprise me if Eli Lilly does as well.
Okay, real quickly here, I'm glad that you brought up SanDisk, because I wanted to ask you about that. But really quickly here, we can move on from this space here. NVO, one of the questions we get all the time. NVO, with it being so just beaten down recently, and I guess HIMS recently made a move down, although that still had a pretty good 2025 even now. Are any of these buys at all, or is there anything to watch here, or is it just go with the leader, which, as you just outlined, Wall Street's told us who it is?
No, NVO definitely has an opportunity of
Okay.
value. I
Okay.
think they're down yesterday because of some Alzheimer drug trial, which is really important. I mean, that's probably the next big thing next to cancer, detection and cures. We've seen a stock GRAL
Oh yeah.
exploding here on cancer detection. Um, I don't know if it's news or approval. I think their approval's coming up in 2026, early 26. But with MVO, a lot of it is tied to Alzheimer right now. They have a pretty good basket of names. I actually love the value. I'm not sure as to why their performance is so sour. What makes it a little bit difficult is that their main shares are traded on the European markets as well. And so it's kind of, you have to have a good feel for both markets in a sense. I think long term, this is great value. I'd rather be long NVO than HIMS. I actually
Okay.
think this news around, Eli Lilly is devastating for a company like HIMS, because Hims was usually riding the back of being a, kind of what are they known as, a compound
Co-
pharmacy making
Compounding
clones.
pharmacy, correct?
Yeah, they're making clones of Cialis and Viagra, but they jumped headfirst into the GLP industry, and they were one of the first compound pharmacies to be able to jump on that. What is it? The peptide push, but
Yep.
you have other companies like Row out there that's making a lot more noise, and showing up as a direct competitor for compound pharmacies. But again, having the ability of offering, the semaglutide at a much cheaper price point, and again, having the backing of Trump RX, it's devastating for a company like Hims, in my opinion, long term. So I'm not the biggest fan of Hims. I'd rather be
Mhm.
long term in NVO at this price point. And again, the short term and intermediate term trade is definitely momentum based with Eli Lilly.
Yeah, and really quick, just to add on here, one of the reasons NVO is so sour is because they are on semaglutide, which is the older version. Lilly, of
Ah,
course,
okay.
is well known for tirzepatide, which has much less muscle loss, not as bad side effects, and the market's just telling you what the winner is. But to your point there about rather being long this one, all it takes is one new updated compound that gets good results, and bang, you're right back in business. Now you're looking at a business that has a really good pipeline otherwise, and is at a more attractive price. So that makes a lot of sense there. Okay, Charlie, this has been great so far. Learn how to use Charlie's AI system to pinpoint high profit potential trade setups, even in the most volatile markets, in his free live webinar. Go ahead and scan that QR code on the screen. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover here before we adjourn for the day?
Yeah, if we look at trading here, we've seen, especially in recent weeks, we've seen the AI names really kind of unravel, and people thought the AI bubble had popped. But a lot of that has been attributed to, obviously, the noise that's been coming from the Fed. Talk about a 180 pivot. Friday, it started with Fed Williams.
Mhm.
Yesterday, it was Fed Waller, but I think the most notable name was Fed Daily. Fed Daily actually came off very hawkish last week. And then yesterday, late in the day, she basically said she would vote for a December rate cut. So now we're getting kind of that shift, that diagram shift, where the CME Fed watch was tanking. It was below 40%. That's what the market believed. It was below 40% that the market thought there was going to be a rate cut. It jumped and closed at 80% yesterday. And so, if that was the primary reason, which in my opinion was to bring this market down, well, then this is going to be a great reason for the market to go up. And we actually saw that yesterday with the tech
Yep.
leadership, really charging up. We're here with Meta being such a strong performer, Tesla being such a strong performer, Apple. And, NVIDIA wasn't like a powerhouse yesterday. They performed well. But what really stood out to me was AVGO's performance. They exploded yesterday. So we're going to see if they can follow through, because if all of a sudden now we start seeing a little bit of that divergence between AVGO and NVIDIA, maybe people aren't as receptive about NVIDIA, but they're piling their money everywhere else in tech. That's still damn bullish here in the near term. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, real good stuff here. The Fed CME watch tool at a high now of 84.7% as of this morning. You were talking about the big jump that it had. I can't remember exactly what day it was, but there was one day where we checked in on this and it was like 30%. And I checked back in at the close of that same day and it was at 39%. And I was like, what the hell happened to make it go up 10% here today? And then we had all of those Fed speakers that you were just alluding to. And here we are at 84.7%. So it certainly looks like we're getting a rate cut there. As far as Broadcom goes, they sell memory to Google, which had a huge move yesterday. So we're expecting to see that here. And then also we have Broadcom breaking out of what looks like a double top on the chart. So the chart now actually really good for a new move here to all-time highs. So, all right. Charlie, this has been great yet again. Thanks for hopping on with us. I know that this is kind of a slow holiday week. We appreciate it very much. Again, folks, be sure to scan. If you want to check out Charlie's AI system, be sure to scan that QR code at the top. Charlie, we appreciate your time. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. We'll catch up with you next time, all right?
Happy Thanksgiving. Take care.
All right, that is Charlie Moon from T3. I tell you what, that entire group of traders are awesome. Really good stuff here. Great breakdown on charts from Charlie. We really appreciate that. Really, really good stuff. So a lot of stuff to look at here. And he gave you, and that's, I generally, I don't push guests to give you an entire trade plan. And Charlie here basically giving you levels to watch for a trade here on Tesla. Watch for the 422 break. 433 is the next target higher. If you get that, giddy up. 433.60 is your 50-day moving average there. That makes a lot of sense to me. So even without pushing, he was able to give that to you. Really, really good stuff there from Charlie. Okay, we were waiting for 13. We should have him here any moment. I did want to really quickly talk about, there was one more, I think it was Tesla here. I did want to really quickly talk about Tesla, especially since we just talked about that with Charlie and a potential trade here. Independent research firm Melius Research and analyst Rob Wertheimer has hailed Tesla's full self-driving systems role in the company's future growth. In a new investor note released by the analyst, Wertheimer said that Tesla's autonomous driving lead is, quote, approaching an irreversible tipping point, end quote, adding that it could trigger, quote, one of the biggest value shifts in modern industrial history, end quote. He also outlined Tesla's stock as a must-own. Yeah, I guess so. If you're talking about the biggest value shift in modern history, I bet you'd want to own that stock. Wertheimer also highlighted that the automotive industry is at risk because of a value shift for hundreds of billions for Tesla in the next 5 years. He added that despite self-driving awareness being low in people, with not even 1 out of 100 Americans having experienced a self-driving car, a rollout of the technology at scale would shock people, as tens of thousands have already tried the company's supervised full self-driving technology. For any of you that want this or want to go through Sawyer Merritt's tweets, he does a really good job covering Tesla. The link is in the chat there. Tesla CEO Elon Musk, responding to the thread, shared that the EV giant has offered its full self-driving technology to automakers as a licensing deal, but the legacy automakers refused. He added the car companies risk being left behind in the autonomous driving race, comparing them to dinosaurs in his response. I'm just glad we didn't get a Netflix blockbuster comparison. I might have lost my damn mind. Musk also hinted that the full self-driving version 14.3 update could enable unsupervised full self-driving for Tesla vehicles, calling it the final piece in the puzzle. Tesla also recently completed the self-certification process to deploy its autonomous vehicles in Nevada, paving the way for robotaxi's commercial operations in the state. It's also worth noting that the full self-driving version 14 has garnered praise from various experts, including Gerber Kawasaki's co-founder Ross Gerber, who's a vocal Tesla critic now. However, Gerber still highlighted some of the issues with the technology's mapping capabilities. Musk also recently touted Tesla's AI chip building credentials, predicting that the company would be making more chips than any other chip maker in the industry. Tesla's AI lead, Elshwak Eliswamy, I hope I got his name right there, backed Musk's claims, outlining deep collaboration between Tesla's hardware and software teams as a key element to chip progress. So we'll see if we get that trade there on Tesla. Now, it is time for 13. Let's see how he's doing. 13, How are you here today? And let me ask you a question. Now, look, I know that you do the deep fried turkey on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes.
But do you get help from your family in cooking some of the other dishes throughout the course of the day, or maybe even the day before?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Does that also mean that your house is just full of these unbelievably good smelling things for like 2 straight days?
You gain calories breathing it in, sir.
Oh, I'm gonna cut that and reuse that one. It's so good. I'll be honest with you. That starts tomorrow, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I can barely contain myself. But before we get to that, we've got a trading session to get through here today. Why don't we take a look at some of these movers?
Absolutely. And good morning, everybody.
There we go. All right. Oh, this wasn't. Okay, I'm going to skip this one.
Yeah, there's an L and a Z, and they're just.
Yeah, these are open door warrant. I'm going to skip this one. That wasn't on there when I first looked at that.
We know what open door is.
We know what open door is, but I'm not sure what the warrant deal is there or whatever. I'm going to skip that one. Look into that at your own risk. Let's focus on some of the stocks here. I can't even believe this, but the first one on the movers list is a legit company. I shouldn't say that. Some of these other companies have been legit too, but this is like a bigger company that a lot, if not everybody, has heard of before. This is ticker KSS or Kohl's, and this stock is actually soaring. I've made comments recently that CNBC overuses the word soaring to describe a 3% move to the upside. Kohl's here actually soaring plus 27.78%. Kohl shares are trading higher after the company beat Q3 earnings estimates and raised its full year 25 sales guidance. The stock may also be rising amid high short interest. So guess where we start our investigation? You got that right on the short interest tab. And indeed, 36.75% of the float shorted with 7.61 days to cover. Now you have a legit positive catalyst backing the push to highs here. The one thing that I will note here, 13, is that the short interest is actually down 7% from the previous read. So Kohl's recently, some of those shorts have covered up. Maybe it was because they knew that this was coming, but maybe it was just because they were getting pressed a little bit here. Nonetheless, still very high short interest here in both the percent of float shorted and the days to cover metric here. They both exceed our criteria. Looking at the news here, I guess I'll start with this. The EPS was a 10-cent profit that beat the 20-cent loss estimate. GG's there. Sales of 3.407 billion beat the 3.323 billion, so a beat there as well. And then obviously they raised full year 25 guidance. So a good report there across the board. That's driving us higher. On average, stock trades 5.8 million shares today. It's traded 2.6. The float is big at 80 million. What do you think here, ticker KSS?
Well, I think that when you come off of the all-time lows, and this is going back to the 90s. I mean, not all time. We've been hitting some 1990s level prices here. So when you come down and find support there, yeah, you're going to start seeing some short covering, I would say. But that's not all. Of course, you pointed out that they have revenue and they have cash. They're profitable. They've been having a great quarter. And this is kind of going along with the theme that we're seeing more of a return to the consumer, more of a return of human related sectors. So here's one of them. We also have another one that's been going off, and we'll get to that later. But as far as KSS goes, I'm a little bit concerned about what's going to happen here, or what's happening here at the $20 level. Because if you look at the price action going back to last year, we're in a bit of an area where we were trading sideways for a time. So I would expect there to be a lot of sellers up in this region. And this can go down to in the teens where this whole sideways price action is. So I'd imagine that we're going to potentially see some selling out of here. But if we do get the volume, which and the illiquidity, which is always a possibility, let's take a look and see what happens around 22, because that would be the next resistance area I would keep my eye on above $20.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there with Kohl's. And I just peeked over at the chat here, and I absolutely love what I see. First of all, I see Lion saying that he's cooking 42 turkeys for customers. Now, nice. He owns a restaurant, so that's going to be different than the rest of us here. But that's crazy. You must be I mean, you must be cooking turkeys all day. You must be cooking turkeys all day. I love the different comments here, different tips. I'll just say this, folks, especially around Thanksgiving, like the Tuesday and then tomorrow, the Wednesday. If you guys want to share Thanksgiving tips in the chat, I encourage you wholeheartedly to do that there.
I'll tell you what. I see some folks here talk about what they do for deep fried turkeys, and some like Big Bear Hug saying they use beef tallow. That's a great idea. What I typically do is I make a compound butter, and then I put it underneath the skin near where the thighs are and where the breast is. That's my whole thing about doing it. But yeah, you guys, there's so many different ways you can deep fry and get this turkey going. There's people that still inject their turkeys with injectable marinades. So do your thing, guys. They're all great.
Yep. Brian Bird here. Big Bear Hug saying Brian Bird here. Oh man. Okay. Lion has a big smoker, can do 50 at once. Yeah. I saw Samel's question. I think she was asking Lion because he's cooking 40 something turkeys. I have one oven. And the things just have to rotate in and out of there. But okay. So getting back to the stocks here, because as you can tell, my mind's already on Thanksgiving and it's only Tuesday. Getting back to the stocks here, we just talked about this stock in this theme. What did you call it? Humans touch or something? What did you call the theme here?
The human sectors.
The human sector.
The human trade. We've been seeing all these AI sectors run all year. It's the human sectors need some love. Consumers.
And we're going to stay on that. Next stock on our list here, ticker ANF, Abercrombie and Fitch. Abercrombie and Fitch shares are trading higher after the company reported Q3 earnings beat and raised its full year 25 EPS and sales growth guidance. The stock was $66 yesterday. Actually didn't really have a great day yesterday either. Basically sold off out of the open and pinned right between 65 and 66. Different story here today. What a difference a day makes. Stock is up 17.5% on the backs of those earnings there. And then one more thing I want to check just out of curiosity here. Guess what? It's not as high, but it is still elevated. 20.77% of the float shorted. That meets our high short interest criteria of 20% or more of the float shorted. Only 3.14 days to cover. So while that is still something, it is under our threshold of 5 days to cover. Still notable here, has some short interest. Now it has another good, legit catalyst beneath it. Stock is up here $12.25 and is up about 18.5%. So 13, what do you think of this one? Same theme, different name. Where do we go?
Well, it's looking a little bit weak going into the open right now. It is getting some support from the VWAP, but if it can hold this area here above the 65-day EMA, then we might still see 80. Did try to shoot for 80 earlier in the pre-market, about 20 minutes ago or so. Went up to 79.20 before it found some resistance. So if we can hold above VWAP, we'll try that same area again. Just watch for the sellers, and if we get above 80, we can start exploring some other levels above that. It's probably going to be something like 82 that we see next. But I think the big hurdle right now is just to get back over 80. Didn't really have anything to add to the earnings or the short interest. You pretty much covered that. So just something I'm watching for with ANF. I think that's what we're going to want to keep our eye on, because this is I think the first time we're going to be opening above the 65 EMA in a while. The 65 EMA on the daily chart is at 77.15.
Yeah, indeed. The other thing that's notable here, this comes at a really good time because boy, oh boy, were we at a support level here, a pretty strong support level. Going all the way back to April, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches of this support area and no breakdown.
Look at the I think it was the monthly chart. Yeah, look at the monthly chart. We had look at this this support we're getting from the 50-month SMA.
Oh yeah,
that needs to hold up, or else we're going to be in some real trouble here. And I would look at the 200-month SMA if we start losing that 50.
Yeah, so I actually have the 65 EMA on this screen, but just for the sake of the visual aid, because you're absolutely right on this, let's actually go over to my bigger chart here. Here's the monthly. The yellow line is the 50 EMA that 13 is alluding to here. And now with the move here today, popping us back above 77, we're back above that area. Let's see if we can hold that. Really good stuff there on ANF. Now, Jay here is saying that this was a low bar, all right? So, he also outlining here PE of 7.7. So, okay. So So, Jay, I guess the question that I have here regarding the low bar, is this something that is specific to Abercrombie, or can we kind of assume, if you will, that this is going to be the same for some of these other names in the same sector?
I mean,
Can we look at PEs to compare? You get in there, 13.
Didn't TJ Maxx just report and have some pretty good earnings? And I'm not sure if Ross Stores did, but
Ross did and popped, and actually, that was on a day where the market was getting absolutely killed, and it still popped. Gap on that same day, by the way. Here's TJX. This indeed was a beat on the top and bottom line. Looks like the guidance wasn't raised, but it was still in line. So they actually didn't lower guidance there, got a slew of re-ratings after that. So TJX looks like it did report some good earnings. Gap, Ross, same deal.
Yeah. And yeah, all the apparel companies, they've been absolutely slaughtered, as Tenzin's just mentioning. So yeah, these are looking really attractive, and probably seeing some rotation into these companies as a result of their earnings.
Jay, with another good point here, I've always said the setups matter when going into earnings. And I think, Jay, what you're referring to is, what did the stock do going into that earnings? Taking a look at TJX here, it didn't go parabolic into the earnings, but it still traded up into the earnings. The reverse is true for Abercrombie here. And we're getting a little bit of a bigger pop here. Let's actually take a look at Kohl's. This is not one that I check all of the time. Kohl's, same deal, really. Actually, over the past week or so, this really kind of sold off down to this support level, now popping by 27+% on the back of that earnings. This is a good mention there, Jay. And then Palantir, obviously, we talked about that one before. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one that I was, okay. So there was something, a pattern that I had noticed about, and I had posted about it in Happy Hour. I can't remember what that pattern was, but it was showing that every time that it ran up into earnings, it would always gap down, I think is what it was. And every time it would go sideways, or I think it was something like it would gap up. So something to that effect. But yeah, that he's absolutely right about that, particularly with Palantir.
Okay. Let's get back to the movers list there. So we just took a look at Abercrombie and Kohl's, both of those moving higher on earnings, part of the human trade, if you will. One of the other stocks here, Lunai Bioworks. This is ticker LNAI, and they secured first licensing letter of intent following landmark breakthrough showing complete tumor regression in humanized cancer models. That sounds pretty good, but this is just the first licensing letter of intent, so let's not get too excited there. We did trade up here. We're actually up by 21.25%. It looks like we had made a high of 170 earlier in the pre-market. We're flirting with the VWAP right now. We are literally 1 penny beneath it. That's good to see. I'd like to see this move through the VWAP and maybe up towards that 170 target there. Quick peek at the short interest, 0.84% of the float shorted with 1.06 days to cover. It's nothing, negligible, especially compared to the stocks we just took a look at. Today, on average, it trades 4.8 million shares. Today, it's traded 26.13 million shares. The float's only 19.75. So, 13, what do you think here on ticker LNAI?
Well, I think that something's about to happen here with this stock, because this compression that it's been in, we had this impulse move, and now we're kind of trading into a bit of a bull pennant here. I think this symmetrical triangle formation that you got here could result in I want to say a breakout, but just be careful of a potential breakdown as well. Need to see some more volume out of this thing. But aside from that, they did win this license. I think this is all preclinical, so they are going to need money, and they do not have it. And they've also recently been under the watchful eye of the NASDAQ, and they are now they have a minimum market value requirement that's not being met. That's $35 million. They have until April 27th to correct this, but I got to think that they're going to do a capital raise pretty soon, because they just regained other NASDAQ compliance through their minimum bid price. So I think this one we need to be very, very careful with if we're going to trade this at all. And now an offering could be coming as early as today.
Okay. Good stuff. I hope right ahead of Thanksgiving we have another just monster prediction where you say there could be an offering, and then bang, it comes and it just makes you look like an absolute genius. I'm all about that. Okay. Next on the list here is Icon. This is Icon Energy. Did I have a note here? They reported yesterday morning. Icon Energy announces updates in connection with the SEPA. This stock did pop towards 140 in the after hours yesterday, and then actually did test that here today. But looks like sentiment has kind of shifted here as this is now leaking and back into the gap area. To me, this thing sure needs to hold $1 or we're in big trouble here. Quick peek at the short interest on this one, 0.41% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average 100-day volume of 243,000 shares. Today it's traded 18 million, floats 2.2 million. What say you, 13?
I didn't really look at this one, but looking at the chart, 5-minute chart, I can see that there's a little bit of a demand zone down underneath $1 from about 90 cents to 95 cents. That's going to be your earliest support if you lose $1. So right in there, if you're looking to trade this, maybe there's reversal that's going to happen in there. If not there, then it's your last hope's going to be down around 75 cents before this thing just goes right back to the lows of a couple of Friday's pre-market. It looks like. Aside from that, it's still got. I mean, there's nothing looking good here. It really does. I think you're right. It really does need to reverse here soon, or this is going to be a really bad day for the stock. And maybe it does come back later after it gets completely hammered. But I wouldn't want to try and get in the way of this.
Okay, yeah, this to me, we'll see if this one makes a move. I'll tell you what. I'll do you all a favor. I'm going to stay away from this junker, which I think is going back into penny territory. There, now that I've jinxed it and this trades up 100%, y'all can thank me when you take advantage of that later. LOL.
The interesting thing about this is that we just talked about, maritime transportation and dry bulk and tankers yesterday on Happy Hour. So if I do any digging on this, I want to find if that they operate a fleet of very large crude carriers, because that could end up being a theme next year as we start becoming the U.S. starts becoming a major exporter of energy.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. Next here is going to be Pony. This is one we're familiar with. This is Pony AI. This has actually been another. Well, we talk about a lot of movers here. Pony is actually one. Like if we go back to a day chart, when we first started talking about Pony, I believe that was back earlier this year, and it was in single digits. This actually held on to some of its gains as opposed to just getting beaten down to oblivion. Pony reports 72% revenue jump as it ramps up driverless robo-taxi launch across major Chinese cities. Aims to top 1,000 robo-taxis by the year end and exceed 3,000 by 2026. We also had, looks like Tuesday morning here regarding their report. It also looks like they had EPS of 14-cent miss, sales of 25.44 million. Quick peek at the short interest on this, 7.98% of the float shorted with 2.95 days to cover. So although there is some short interest, it's not high by any means. On average, stock trades 6.97 million shares. Today, it's traded 1.37 million. Float here, super thick, 218.92 million. Do you have any thoughts on Pony AI here today?
Let's look at. I mean, I don't know how great the financials are going to look or be, up to date. Sometimes these companies. Oh, it looks like they do report quarterly. I was going to say sometimes these companies that are in different countries, they only report 2 times a year. Doesn't look like this one does. Looks like they do still report quarterly, but they lose a lot of money. This one is losing a lot of money. So that's a major concern. As far as the chart goes, we did just rebound off the VWAP where there was support from a previous high earlier in the pre-market. So that's a good sign, but I would want to see some more volume. We were still kind of in a downtrend off the highs this morning. 1447. So even if you want to draw like a little trend line to kind of give yourself an idea of where we need to be to break the trend, that would be what I'd be shooting for there, is just to see that happen. Aside from that, I really don't have a whole lot to add. It doesn't look like there's really a lot that's happening here aside from just some technical movements.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. We'll see if I was actually, like I said, coming into this week, I was actually hoping for a little bit more of like a crack run for some of these stocks. So far, we haven't seen it. Still some time to go. We'll see, but I'm with you there on Pony. I did add that trend line to the 2 tops here from the pre-market.
Yeah, that the downtrend one is like off of 1447, so it's a much shorter trend line that I'm thinking about that I'm looking at here, but the volume just isn't great. So unless we start to see a big spike of that, it's probably going to lose VWAP.
Okay. Nathan here says, last year I had to work on Thanksgiving. My wife went home to Michigan and I ended up eating gas station beef jerky. Nathan, beef jerky's all right, but I'm sorry that is what your meal was on Thanksgiving. I'm going to fault the friends that you have that are local. Nobody invited you, said, hey, come have a Thanksgiving dinner. Gosh, if I were in the area, even I would have invited you. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you've got some better plans here for today. Or I guess for this year. Thanksgiving's not today. I'm telling you, man, my brain is on one.
You want it to be today.
You're absolutely. If I could wake up tomorrow and it was Thursday, I'd be like, yeah, I don't hate this. This is great. This will work for me. So, okay. Yeah.
We didn't look at another one that I had covered.
What do you got? Let's do it now.
SYM.
Symbiotic. All right. Symbiotic shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and issued Q1 sales guidance with the midpoint above estimates. Also, Needham maintained its buy rating on the stock and raised its price target from 57 to 70. We're at 71 3/4 here. This is a pretty decent move here from 55 to 71. Stock's up 30%. What do you got?
Yeah, so like you said, they had their earnings yesterday, and then this morning they got analyst coverage with price target raises. Company has cash and revenue, though they're still not entirely profitable. They need to they have yet to report positive. I think the one that they just reported was positive. Let me double check that before I get too ahead of myself. No, it was in line. So they still have showed that 3-cent EPS loss. So yeah, still not profitable, but pretty close. High short interest on this one as well. 32.5% with 6.5 days to cover. So seeing a little bit of squeeze action as well. This is on 42, just shy of 42 million shares in the float. So this could continue to squeeze, I would think, today. Now, if there's a question about where are you seeing this company's products. This is warehouse machinery like automation. Amazon has a lot of their own in-house stuff, but this company does warehouse automation for the likes of Walmart, Target, Albertsons, some of those other companies that operate large warehouses, and that's where you'll see Symbiotic's products. But today, right now we're just trying to. It looks like we just put in a slightly new pre-market high, 71.88.
Yep.
Looking for some more upside here, but let's see what we get out of the open. We could see some more squeeze action here today.
Okay, we'll see. SYM, that is definitely a good one to watch here today. Real quickly here, just kind of sticking along. We got plenty of time, so sticking along with the theme with our Thanksgiving tips here. Samel saying, when you cook cranberry, it smells so nice. Apparently, cranberry sauce is a controversial thing. I can't possibly understand this because Smel's right on. These are delicious. Do me a favor, folks. Do not buy cranberry sauce in a can. Do not let that little cylinder slide out of the can and then serve that to people you care about. Buy a bag of cranberries and cook them. It's not hard. It does smell very nice. Pro tip here that I learned from an actual pro, add a little bit of orange zest to your cranberry sauce. Brings out some of that flavor, gives it a slightly different flavor profile that's absolutely delicious. And as Samel is mentioning here, when you cook it, you get the added benefit of the really delicious smell in the air. Please don't buy cranberry sauce that comes in a can and comes out in a cylinder. No bueno there. Okay. Really quick. Okay. Producer's on one here. We're just going to let him pop off there. There we go. Really quickly though, where there was another comment here, Jay saying, did you do keys in FLNC? No. And I believe you don't see them on the list here because of the volume threshold that I have, but we will do FLNC here. That's Fluence Energy. And yep, it is exactly as I said. It does not have the 600,000 minimum volume in the pre-market. As a result, it's not on the list. That's what happened to your SYM as well, 13. But we can go ahead and take some of those. First tip. I got to figure out which sound it was that I'm going to play here. The one up and then the Chewbacca roar for Jay. You've been talking about FLNC for several weeks here, saying this is going higher. ahead of the earnings. And sure enough, earnings driving this higher. Stock's up 9% here today. Fluence Energy shares are trading higher after the company reported Q4 financial results and issued full year 26 sales guidance above estimates. The EPS here, this was a miss on the top and the bottom line, and nonetheless, this is still trading higher. 13, we talked about energy maybe being a theme going forward here.
Oh, yeah.
This would fit into that. A quick peek at the short interest in this one, 32.77% of the float shorted with 2.8 days to cover. So definitely high short interest in terms of its percent of float shorted, but not high in terms of its days to cover. On average, stock trades 7.3 million shares. Post earnings, it's only traded 231. So we would like to see that volume kick up a little bit as new buyers end up purchasing after the 9% move higher here. 13, I know this probably wasn't on your list to cover here, but do you have anything on FLNC?
It wasn't on my list to cover, but this is one. I mean, I would have to see where they operate out of, because I've got this U.S. battery list. It's specifically for companies that have manufacturing or mining capabilities in the United States. I'm not sure that this one fits that bill, because I don't know enough about this. You have to tell me, Jay, if this is a U.S. based company or not. But it seems like this is in energy storage, like stationary batteries for buildings, like specifically data centers, perhaps. I guess I'd be curious, what is the primary material they're using for their batteries for the storage? Is it vanadium? Is it a sodium ion? Is it what is the material they're using? I'd be curious to know. Another thing that stands out here as well, high short interest on this one at the same time.
Yeah.
32.7% of the float shorted. Not as many days to cover. The float is a little bit smaller than some of these other names, 64 million shares. But still think this is an interesting one. I just need to learn a little bit more about it. But let me know, Jay, if you can tell me some more about what the kind of batteries they have and what they're made with.
One more thing here. Jay had mentioned that I think you're saying that this is similar to EOSE.
Oh,
and actually, let me go to the other bigger chart here, because if I recall correctly, EOSE is below its 50. Look at this, dude.
Yeah.
Yes, we looked at this the other day. My brain did not let me down. Really quickly, just looking at the chart here, here's EOSE. One of the things that I would really like to see is a move back above the 50-day moving average here. The value here is at $13.95. If we take a peek inside, you can see that on the back of this earnings, we actually already attempted this once on the EOSE. We did trade into a 14 handle before giving that up. As far as today goes, would love to see a closing candle above this $13.95 or $14.25 level, whatever that ends up being here. That actually primes us for a move above the 20-day moving average and the $15 level, maybe towards the double top near 19. So I know we were talking about FLNC. Jay also mentioned it's similar to EOSE. Wanted to review that chart as well. So there you go.
And you know what? Now that I have a good look at EOSE, because I don't think I was looking at it very well yesterday. I did have a trend line here that I drew back from the beginning of the year through May, and we broke out of that trend line in September. Since then, we've been forming a megaphone pattern and trading very well inside it. So the next move for this potentially is a recapture of that 50-day SMA. And if we do that, we're recapturing some of this big resistance around 14.25, where it was previously support as this formation was happening. So if we can get through that, man, this could probably be back up at 20 before the end of the year.
Okay. Good stuff there on FLNC and EOSE. And while we were killing time, we've got a new catalyst here. 13, obviously, you did not have time to prepare. Nobody did. We'll just kind of react to it real quick. But I got to mention this right here. Saw this, immediately got hungry. EKS saying garlic mashed potatoes with yogurt and butter. EKS, I would eat at your house anytime. That sounds absolutely wonderful right now. Just that would be good right now. Sounds absolutely amazing. Nice little tip there. Yes, that girl loves the idea of trying some yogurt in there. Let me know how that goes. Now, back to the market here. CETY. This is Clean Energy Technologies here. Clean Energy Technology shares are trading higher after the company secured a $10 million battery energy storage project in New York. So oh my God.
The battery plays. We talked about this so much.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, we did. This stock was just above $1. Immediate spike to $1.80 here, folks. I'm just going to say this right off the top here. Don't chase this move. Let's kind of wait out a potential setup here. VWAP 163, huge jump for the VWAP on the back of that. Let me make sure. I just read the why is it moving. Let me see if there's any more context in the news here. No, that looks like that would probably have to go through the press release to dig out anything else here. The New York project includes a deployment of a 5 megawatt to 20 megawatt standalone energy storage system designed to support grid reliability. Okay, so they're going to need a lot more than that. But this is a good first step here, I suppose. Good for this company. Stock's up 70% here. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. Oh, wow. This pretty much almost all the shorts covered up here. 0.09% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. I've got a float reading here of 70 million, which is how that's being calculated there. On average, stock trades 125,000 shares a day. Today, it's traded 11.7 million. And it's still ripping here, up 70%. 13, what do you think on this, if anything? And I'm going to step away here. I'll be right back, okay?
All right. Yeah, another one I have to look into. So certainly writing this down. I didn't have this on my list of the U.S. battery plays. I think it's because they kind of fall under the. Well, it says that they fall under the oil and gas and consumable fuels. But anyway, I'll have to look into this because I know some folks that live out near this area in Irvine. Maybe I could have them take a look at this and see what their operations are like. But let's take a look at the chart here with this one. CETY. So we are trading above VWAP at the moment, seeing some resistance around 185. The high of the pre-market here, 184 that we just ran up to. And looking at the daily chart, it seems as though we are trying to fill a bit of a gap when we lost this $2 level. What I think is from their earnings. Now they had a delayed Q10 filing and or a 10Q filing. I'm sorry, and so they delayed that, and they finally released it on the 19th, and on the 3rd. Before that, there was some other news that also pulled it down. That's actually what the news was that pulled it down beneath 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that it looks like they do. They're also in geothermal apparently, so would need to look a little bit more into this one. But it is absolutely ripping right now. Float 70 million shares. That's a pretty good size move for a float, but for this float. But you know what? This thing has been really beaten down. I don't know if this was any lower than it was before today. Looks like it was. I don't know what this movement here from January of 2023 was, but here we are back at $1 or just above $1.
Okay.
Yeah, don't really have a whole lot to add. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. 177 there. So real quick, one more thing that I wanted to cover here. Oh, did it? There we go. All right, let's take a look. I had mentioned earlier in the chat, obviously this happened while I was on. ONDS has more news here. Actually, it looks like it just sold a little bit there in the pre-market. Let's take a look at this news. Ondas to acquire RoboTeam, expanding market footprint and multi-domain autonomy with field-proven tactical ground robotics. Again, this is the PRs that we're getting here are exactly what Eric told us is going to happen. Ondas expects RoboTeam to add $3 to $4 million in the Q4 revenue. Remember, we just reported earnings where they beat. Now it looks like we're going to be tacking on an additional $3 to $4 million for the quarter that's currently ongoing, and at least $30 million in all of 2026. So as far as kind of folding technology into the stack here, and then being able to ramp revenues with that, it looks like that's exactly what's going on. Lake Street also sticking to its buy rating here. I know Ondas pulled a little bit here. This looks pretty good. And one of the things I like about this PR is he's actually giving us targets, right? So when we take a look at the next earnings report here, we will see if the $3 to $4 million was added. And if so, we should be on track then to add 30 million in revenue from this acquisition in 2026. So I love that they're giving more numbers in there. I'm going to go through this PR a little bit more. Looks like there's going to be a lot of reading here. I won't do that in front of you folks, but I'll be doing that next. Giddy up. More news here. I know it's down a little bit, closed at 872. It's down at 848 right now. Long-term play on this. Honestly, my read through on this is that it's good.
5 seconds.
Early on. 5 seconds. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I timed that right.
And we didn't go over Zim, but apparently they're reviewing. They're having a strategic review. Potentially leads to a takeover of the company. So we can get into that in a little bit. Right now, let's see what happens with the market. And KSS trying to move up to 20 out of the gate here. I'm not seeing any price action right now. Oh, there we go. Really slow price action.
Actually, I saw it a little bit delayed in my broker there too on KSS, right when you mentioned that. This is basically at the VWAP there, 1964. We do have that pre-market high just above $20 at 20 and a quarter.
There's Pony sinking as expected. SYM, that did pop up out of the gate, but that is also selling off. FLNC, that ripped right up to 1923 and came back down to VWAP. CETY also trying to
nice pot. Sorry to interrupt you there. Jay, you had said earlier today that this was more of a trade than an investment in FLNC. Let me ask you, are you trimming it all into the up move to 19 out of the open on the back of that earnings? What's the plan here on this? And also, Kohl's here looks like it's going to try and gear up again to try and get through that VWAP there. 1967, your spot there on Kohl's.
Looks like LNAI is trying to get a reversal off the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. It's coming up to some resistance around 150.
Big seller on Kohl's just ahead of that VWAP. It looks like they're actually trying to walk that down. One thing I'll say is that if that seller gets taken out, that probably moves through VWAP. But right now, it is very clearly providing resistance for Kohl's to make its next move.
Yeah,
and actually, they're walking it down now to the 1950 level. Did that get eaten? Sure did. All of it got taken there, 1947.
All this price action we're seeing out of the gate here is just telling me let's maybe just wait a bit.
There goes Kohl's. Boy, I didn't play it. I had a sneaking suspicion. I said, I don't know. And when this came back in and that big seller got eaten, I should have just hit buy there. Damn it. This did pop above 20. That actually would have been a pretty decent scalp. But Kohl's there's top one.
SETI defending the VWAP. That might turn around here too. So maybe we don't have to wait as long as I thought in some of these. But still, with KSS, not able to close above 20 yet.
CETY. I typed in SETI like SETI, and I was like, I don't think that's right. I was like, we're not talking about aliens. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
We'll find out when that asteroid gets closer.
Apparently, that there was a new report that 3i Atlas is indeed a just regular piece of material and not an alien spacecraft. That was producer broke the bad news to me the other day.
Are you praying, please save us?
No, I don't think aliens are necessarily going to save us, but okay. That's been something I've been on for a long time. It would just be great. It would just, when I was in grade school earlier, just all of the people that made fun of me because I would think and talk about aliens, it would just be a great little victory lap for that to actually happen.
Okay.
SETI here looks like 180 is their resistance. BNED is being mentioned here in the chat. I got a sneaking suspicion that this is also indeed Barnes and Noble here. This popping looks like it's trying to get through 9. This on the back of its earnings. Yeah, no, preliminary full year 25 revenue results. That's driving BNED Barnes and Noble higher here today.
FLNC almost back to the starting point.
Yep, Jay did trim some into that. Kohl's now going for 21. God, I was waffling too much on that. I'm disappointed in myself. Register ring for anyone that took that Kohl's trade out of the gate. That worked.
If this candle closes over,
damn it, Ryan,
over 20, then I'd start to get a little bit more bullish about 22.
Damn it.
You can't grab them all.
No, I know, but I was looking right at it. I'm running out of excuses here. I just got to try a little bit more.
There we go with SYM. Perfect. Where's that Street Fighter perfect when you need it?
Isn't it Mortal Kombat Flawless Victory?
No. Street Fighter. Whenever you win without taking any damage, he goes perfect. You didn't play it enough, I see.
No, I did though. Like you're talking about some of like the big combos, right? Like that must be.
No, the Flawless Victory is Mortal Kombat. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Pony rebounding now after getting support down at 1270 and the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Not suggesting we should jump into this one. I don't know where the bottom actually is. Just because we have a bounce here doesn't mean it could. It's reversing.
Google's finally pulling back. This is on the back of the AI chip news with Meta there. I wonder where the stopping point is here on Google. Looks like 320 has supported it so far. Tara here saying, I agree, Ryan, full-heartedly. I would have my hands up leaving, going, I'm right here. Shoot, I don't know what that was in reference to. I got lost there. Sorry, Tara.
Google, okay, so it looks like it did get some support already. So if you look at a daily chart, let's see, what was this print that we got here? So the low was what?
Still more, sorry.
319.55, that was our low, right? Because that is pretty close to, no, maybe not. I was going to say, it looks like that was, no, 319.55, 319.480, yeah, 319.48. So that's about 8 cents away from the high of yesterday. I think that's where you're getting your support from with Google today. So it'd be yesterday's high and yesterday's close are going to be, I would say, the next support areas since we've already started getting an interaction from them.
Okay, Lulu getting mentioned here. Lulu, this is up by 1.24%. I got to think this is on the back of the Kohl's and Abercrombie report.
Yep. Apparel, it should be doing pretty good. I mean, Nike's up, United Armour's up, Lulu's up.
Tara, you too, huh? Did you get made fun of when you were a kid for being interested in aliens like I did? I give you an air high five for that. We're on the same team there. Sorry, 13.
No worries. SETI did pop above the resistance around 185, got to 193, and then came right back in. Looking at the price ladder here, still a lot of sellers in the way from 187 all the way up to $2. So we're going to just see some bigger volume out of this one. Here we go. Now we're starting to hit that 185 area again, but it's still getting rejected.
Izzy mentioning Best Buy here. Best Buy up 1.6%. Looks like they had earnings here this morning. Best Buy had it traded up initially. Company reported better than expected Q3 financial results and raised guidance, came all the way back and actually went negative, now back up to 78. So wild pre-market here, Izzy. Were you able to grab any of this? Do you like this if it breaks 78? It almost looks like right out of the open here, we had a Kohl's type reaction where it sold off a little bit and then bang, went right. I wasn't watching it though.
Another stock that's been moving since Friday when we got the pre-market lows, Rocket having a good morning. 1854 is the high now.
That's RKT then.
Yes, sir. But that's also one of the sectors that has more to do with the human side of things, housing. So still looking for a lot of these consumer-oriented sectors to come back next year. So consumer discretionary, consumer staples, healthcare. We've already seen healthcare start to go. Also housing and energy, kind of back and forth on, but I think some energy plays will do better than others.
NVIDIA getting mentioned here that hit new lows, and indeed that is continued to be weak here. This was actually trading down on that Google AI chip headline.
Yeah.
And there was some discussion in the chat earlier about those. That's the TPUs, the tensor processing units. Those chips aren't ready yet, right? That's still a ways out.
From Google, I don't know what their manufacturing stage.
Yeah, I don't know for sure either, but I'm pretty sure that those are actually not even available yet. Let me see if let me see. Oh, you know what? That came from the information. Let me see if I have that stuff in here.
Looks like Kohl's is still trying to get above that 21, but it shouldn't be too much longer now.
Yeah, I would have to look into that. That I don't know. If anyone knows off the top of their head, let us know. Let us know. But we're seeing some moves up and down depending on what side of the deal they are on that. NVIDIA down 5% here today. And actually, I did notice that there were some calls getting bought into this down move. More calls on Google.
Getting a little bit of resistance here with KSS. So if KSS comes back in, we are going to see some support starting as early as 2025 and then $20 where we were trying to break out of. So looks like we're coming back in here a little bit with KSS.
That was a nice pop above VWAP, though. That was a really good trade here. Is he mentioning AMD getting pounded?
Yeah, that one's getting pounded, which might be a pretty good buying opportunity. CETY, we did get a candle to close above that 185 level, so now that's support. The high so far, 196. As long as we can hold above that for the next 10, 15 minutes, could push through too.
Market looks like it's coming in a little bit here. S&P still holding at unchanged here, but the NASDAQ down just over 0.5%. That's actually near the lows. The Dow traded up. The Dow is actually up by 0.63%. And again, S&P about flattish. Oh, and by the way, the important questions here, producer polled for the Thanksgiving turkey, you had 3 options: oven roasted, deep fried, or I'm vegetarian, vegan. Oven roasted winning that with 64%. Deep fried coming in second with 29%, and 7% of you do not partake in turkey because you are a vegetarian. So pretty good. I'm actually surprised that deep fried is that high. I feel like not a lot of people have deep fryers or are experienced with deep frying a large item like a turkey. And then obviously you get the horror stories every year of people blowing up their houses.
It's interesting. I'm looking at McDonald's stock right now, and man, does 310 stand out as a resistance area. And we're kind of knocking on that door of 310 right now.
Which one? Sorry, I was reading the comments.
McDonald's.
Oh, MCD. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good move out of the gate here. No red candles yet. Looking for 310. That's been a resistance area. No closes above that for it looks like since last month, and there was only one. The very next day we were down lower. 310, big area, followed by 312. That's certainly an area, and I think we're trying to break a downtrend off these highs. Let's look at this daily chart, see if we can get a trend line going here. Yeah, that puts the breakout spot around 315. Keep an eye on McDonald's. It looks pretty interesting, and I'm liking the price action we're getting here today.
And I'm looking at this chart here, and the highs right around 310 that you were just outlining from Friday. Looks like it's going to get challenged. Maybe we do get a pop higher here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it?
It is actually. It is.
And SETI, there we go, over 2 in a big way. 226 now the new high.
Nice. So this basically kind of consolidated a little bit as that VWAP caught up and then launched again here. SETI, this is now up over 100%. We do have a 100% runner here today. How about that?
All right.
How about that?
So we're still getting support around the $20 area with KSS. So if this continues to hold up and holds VWAP, it's got a pretty good setup to push higher over 21 and get to 22. So we'll see if we end up getting that.
Daniel calling 250 plus coming. By the way, Rigetti straight down out of the gate. Same with Palantir. So some of our inverses that we've been trading recently, those higher here on this move down.
Oh yeah, I gotta look at those too. Oh yeah. Wow, this RGTZ, just fantastic move here. Let's take a look at Rigetti and see if we can get an idea where the next loading zone is, because this isn't the move you want to chase.
Yeah, and Marcus here mentioning got stopped at a NBIS. We are seeing some weakness here in some of the AI trade not named Google. And actually, even Google pulled back out of the open. Let's see what it did since then.
Yeah,
that bounced from there.
Rigetti could probably come down to about $24.25 before it finds some support. We'll see if it it can hold, if it can get back above 25. But right now, it looks like it's headed downwards and isn't showing much sign of stopping just yet.
RGTZ, that also probably, we talked with Ed Iglinski from Direction yesterday. He mentioned that SOXS and SOXL, two of the biggest ETFs with the most amount of inflows and outflows. SOXS, this looks to be the trade here. This is popping out of the open.
Fantastic.
And this is exactly what one of our members in Happy Hours talked about yesterday. In fact, he was buying this at the close yesterday. He's already up on that. That's really, really good stuff. SOXS here looks like 433, new intraday high, break coming if it takes this out.
Traders trying to hit SETI right now, CETY, trying to push through 225. Looks like that's the big resistance area to get through right now.
Multiple Apple sweeps coming while Apple is near the highs here, 280. Looks like it's just shy of 280, but it did trade above that earlier.
Daniel, I think you're right. If we can't get through 225 pretty soon here, this is going to come back in a little bit.
Well, I would just watch that volume here. It's likely rug pull if it can't keep trading up here.
Yeah, this pop over $2, that was a big move. So $2 is going to be an early support area, but yeah, VWAP right beneath it. That seems like a little bit more likely, and that's at 185, which is the area it was trying to get over from the pre-market going into the open.
Merck straight up out of the open here. Michael mentioning that rotation going into healthcare. Let's take a look at some of those healthcare names. I know we took a look at some of them yesterday. Here's UNH, 2.5%. Look at that.
Here we go with SETI. It's hitting 225. A little bit more volume, and I think this thing breaks out here.
You're right on that healthcare call, too. All of these up off the open here. Let me go back to SETI. I know that's our mover right now.
The human sector's beaten up all year. It's time to rotate. I think you see rotation into some of those human-oriented sectors, but don't worry. I think tech comes back as well in a big way.
Daniel mentioning that the pullback here on SETI was instantly met with buyers. Part of me wonders if some of the turkey crack is coming here. Good morning, Amanda. Dan saying, made my 20% on SETI. Thanks for the call out. You know what you'll get there. Register ring all day. Chewbacca loves your effort today.
I trimmed some Johnson & Johnson because we're at all-time highs, and this was yesterday I did it. Trimmed Johnson & Johnson, we're at all-time highs. RSI is extended, so I don't want to be completely out of this until we get up towards around 220. I like that area for an exit, but right now this thing is pretty extended, so I have trimmed my Johnson & Johnson I've had for a while.
James here saying, all things considered, with semis down like this today and the market's still doing okay, it's not that bad. I think that is more of a comment on actual rotation going on as opposed to just running for the exits and keeping money on the sideline.
Pony trying to turn around here, been getting support ever since it came down here to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. It's been getting support for the past 15 minutes. Now we're starting to see it turn around. Still needs to recapture VWAP. But that would be the first step in turning up. So if it does get a recapture of VWAP here, which we're at 1340, looks like the next resistance area, okay, followed by 1375.
See if this can get back to VWAP here. Pony AI.
Looks like McDonald's breached 310, went to 310.58, came back in. We're just under 310 again. So still 310, big resistance area. And you see some big volume and to get over that and start closing over it. Pony AI now starting to climb a little bit more.
It's literally battling with the VWAP right now. I'm watching it happen really quickly here. Producer had to step into a quick meeting, and all that they talked about was Thanksgiving sides. We are in the right spot there. By the way, did anyone mention stuffing and how elite it is? Because they should have. And I agree, producer. If we could please just get time to move a little bit faster, we'd all be better off.
Zealer, I think I would re-enter Johnson & Johnson if it came back under 150. That's been where I've always had my cost basis be under. So, and I've been in it since, I think it was 2019 when I first started buying it, and I picked up some more after COVID when it was there's only been a few times since COVID where it's been under 150. So I've just been adding underneath there. But that's probably where I'd start buying again, is under 150.
Now it looks like the entire market pulling here. So Dow, which seemed to be immune, has gone green to red, down 0.2 here. SPY down about 0.5%, and NASDAQ leading the way lower at minus 1.25%.
Hey, everybody that was trading steady, well done. 250 is the high of the regular session, and we're still trying to hold above 230.
Pony AI rejected at that VWAP, by the way. That's definitely the spot. Tell you what, VWAP breakout's still not great yet. The curl off the low was the move.
Looks like LNAI, the Lunai Bioworks, one of the ones we looked at today, that's trying to recapture 150, which is a support area in the pre-market before we lost it just before the open.
Tenzin says, I told you a violent pullback was incoming. Tenzin, oh, no. I saw that you said JK after you said that before. Now you're getting it, and now you told us? No, Tenzin. I saw the JK. I'm just busting on you.
I'll have to take a look at that then. Amanda, Coles, by the way, looks like this is making another attempt to get to over 21. Coming up towards that the 2080 area where there's a large seller standing in the way. So let's see if he gets taken out. Here we go, trading right up to that position.
There we go. A producer is just cranking out the polls here like he's cooking Thanksgiving dinner with polls. The YouTube poll is up now. Bitcoin by December 31st, under 75K, 75 to 85K, 85 to 100K, or above 100K. Get your votes in. I love that, producer. Yep.
Daniel, I'm watching KSS right now, looking for this move over to 2080. Over 2080 should take us over 21. Here we go.
2084.
Yep. There's another even larger seller at 21 now.
So you think you need to clear 21, huh?
To get to, yeah. That's okay, I think that's the next big resistance area, and then we get that. I think we could see 22.
And I have a high of day here from that opening impulse move here at 2093. So it looks like that right before. I wonder if there's a big seller. I can't see him on my price slider here. I wonder if there's a big seller sitting there. We shall see.
At which price?
2093, your intraday high from the impulse move out of the open.
I don't see anybody at 2093 specifically, but I think it could have been just some of the sellers up at around 21. Kind of pushing the position, walking their position down. Now they reloaded at 2080 again.
Okay, we'll see if we can take out that 2080. That would be awesome. I'm going to flip around here, but we know what we're looking for. Here's open. Looks like we're testing 8 here. Remember, we couldn't get above that near the close yesterday. Maybe we have a possible pop on that here today. Izzy's 2 for 2 on Amazon. You'll get a register ring for that without a doubt.
Nice. Yeah, just a little bit more volume in KSS, and I think we get that 21 break. Looks like LNAI also coming up and testing VWAP. So we just got a slight print above the 150 resistance area. Still no closes above it, though, despite now having the second 5-minute candle trade over that level.
Okay. Good stuff there.
FLNC, that found some support down near 15. It looks like the low is 1510. Turning back up. Let's see if it can recapture VWAP.
Market is bouncing here. Yep. You're right, Zach. We'll see if this can sustain or if this is just a regression bounce.
SYM also turning back up, looking looks like it wants to take out 76. That was the high of the session here. It was rejected earlier about 15 minutes ago. We're coming right back up to it right now.
This is good. I'm not on this SYM.
McDonald's still getting rejected at 310.
How's SETI doing? Let's check back in on CETY.
That's still getting rejected from that 250 print. If we come in some more, support's going to be VWAP.
Yep. 197. And now the last time this thing came to VWAP, it traded around it for a little bit and launched. We'll see if we get that again.
And we should see a new session high in SYM in just a tick here. There it is. 76.43, 57. There she goes, 58.
Good stuff there. 13. You'll get a register ring too. We just handed them out here. NVO. This is one that we talked about there with Charlie. This is actually up 3.5%. Now this looks like this is going for new highs.
Pass the turkey.
Oh, I can't wait. By the way, Ondas did reverse here. 883 was your pre-market high on the back of that news. See if we can push above that here. Looks like there's a fairly decent seller there at 875.
KSS just not having the volume to get over that 21 print.
No,
it's still not giving up these the gains yet, but it's having a hard time getting over 21.
Yeah, I'd have a plan in case the strength just kind of loses it here. Stop or something out there if you're trading that one.
We also got SETI coming in, so it's almost near VWAP. This might be rolling over here. FLNC continues to climb up to its VWAP. And SYM is now just printed over 77.
Okay, it looks like SETI's trying to bounce from the VWAP, but I'll be honest, watching this, let me put it on screen here. Watching it actually doesn't look like it has a whole lot of strength, at least so far. I know it's up above that by about 6-7 cents, but it looks like it's kind of slowing down there.
And this is why you didn't want to chase RGTZ, because that came right back in, but it's looking like it might be getting ready to gear up again here, so we'll see.
SETI has left the chat. We'll see. By the way, Ondas set a new intraday high there, 888, set it by 1 penny, came back in a little bit, still holding above the VWAP at 857. That SETI bounce continuing here. Looks like 207. It is trying to go past 210. We'll see if it has the strength to do that. John, our thoughts here are obviously the news is what's moving it here. This to me seems like a short-term trade for, I don't know that anyone, correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone has like kind of a long-term view on the news here. Otherwise, this is just a short-term trade for us, and we're using the chart to tell us what to do.
I think that when it comes to CETY, this should be one of the stocks you have in a basket, like a watch list, so you can keep of different battery names, because we're expecting batteries to be a pretty big theme next year. So I would have this one on a watch list with a whole bunch of other battery names.
There you go. If you're going to trade it today, for those gains, slap it on that watch list, and then have a tactical entry for this. SETI actually looking like it might lose its VWAP right here.
Yeah, this one looks like it's experiencing some weakness, but if it still can hold above the VWAP, then there might be some more upside. FLNC, man, that was a really good reversal off of 1510. Nice candle too. Nice reversal candle.
On FLNC, Amanda here selling Ondas calls, the 11 calls. Those are the Decembers. Those are the ones I own.
And KSS now at the doorstep of 21, trying to break through. There it is. 21.
I can't keep up. I can't keep up.
When do I think the EVs get to the 800-mile plus range?
If batteries are, I think that's why he's asking on the back of that battery thing. Are they going to be better?
Yeah, so that's not why I'm on the theme. I think it's going to be more because they're going to be in demand, and they're going to be using. Not that they already aren't being used in a lot of devices, but you're going to see even more usage. Drones certainly use a whole lot of batteries, so there's that. You have all this automation that's going to use batteries. You have robots that are going to use batteries, and of course you have EVs that use batteries. Data centers have batteries for backups. You have battery backups for computers. I have a battery backup right here.
So do
battery backups. Batteries are going to be, I think, a pretty big theme with all the this electrification that we're going with, all this build out of electrical infrastructure and data centers. It's going to be a big thing. But as far as how soon do I think we're going to see an 800-mile vehicle EV? I don't know that we will. I think what you might see happen before we get to something that's able to do that kind of capacity in terms of travel is you're going to see charging systems that are much quicker. So it doesn't, because I think that in order to get that kind of storage density could lead to some real weight issues. And I think that it would make more sense if there was just a way to develop, if there's more of development in technology for faster charging. So the refueling process is about on par with gasoline. That's what I think would happen first. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, right? You'd want the charging to be so quick that there's no trade-off from having an ICE engine versus an EV engine. That's almost more important than having that 800-mile range. Yeah. Frankly, I would agree with you on that. You could very quickly and safely recharge a battery and get all that mileage back. I don't see anything wrong with a 400-mile range. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I just don't know that we're going to see the 800-mile range without making sacrifices elsewhere. So I would think faster charging is going to be the way to go.
BBY here. This was met. There's another retailer here, I guess the human trade, if you will. This also higher here on the back of its earnings, higher by 1.3%. The other retail stock that I've been talking about recently, Amer Sports, ticker AS, that's also up, although barely, looks like. Yeah, it's up more than that now here. So this continues. So it looks like that entire sector trying to move higher there. And then Amazon, I know Izzy's scalping this here. Amazon dipped and then ripped. I don't know that there's necessarily anything going on. The one thing I will throw out there, since it's almost Black Friday, has anyone found any killer deals on Amazon for the Black Friday sale, which is ongoing? It's been going on for several days at this point. Let's see. Rosenblatt maintaining a buy and a $305 price target. So you get a price target or a defense there, maintains, and the price target at 305. Other than that, I don't really see anything new going on here.
Yeah, Jay, this is my big thing that I'm looking into right now out here in Texas, because there's so many different infrastructure projects that we have going on. I mean, we're already building, as you pointed out, NRG. We're building power plants out here in Harris County and I think it's Chambers County. It's east of Houston, next to Beaumont. But we're building more power plants for natural gas. We're Energy Transfer's going to be supplying a lot of pipeline and natural gas to different data centers that are going to be building on-site power plants. 100% agree with you that the energy play is the one going forward. But there are going to be battery backup systems on a lot of these sites for data centers, and that's why we're kind of interested. Our group, we're kind of interested in some vanadium plays. They're not meant for EVs or anything like or vehicles. They're meant to be stationary. So lots of different ways to play the energy side. I agree. Some of these are much more expensive than others, but we've got some lists going here, and I'm trying to put together some comprehensive information about everything that's happening out here just in this state alone. It's pretty big.
Really quickly here, wanted to highlight this. This is great here. Not Glenn. Yassine. Bang. Yassine says, AMTM happy hour stock. What up? Yeah, what up is the earnings here. Good earnings. Stock's up by 18%. We did talk about this on happy hour. But the other thing is I actually told you about that story the morning that we had that Andrew Left from Citron tweeting about this being the energy stock that nobody knows about. And this definitely being a long stock has had a really good move since then. Grats, Yassine, on taking that. Really good stuff here today. You guys are also mentioning SETI again. Let's take a look and see what's going on with that. Took it off my screen, so I wouldn't be surprised if we put in new highs here.
Yeah, that was bouncing off of VWAP. Don't know if we're going to fully get a reversal here, but right now it's getting some support from VWAP. Just need to see that volume component kick in. But when you look at the MACD, starting to appear as though the momentum is waning off here. So that's why I'm not sure if we're going to full on get a reversal and go up and take out 250 yet. Looks like Chipotle is coming in life back. It's coming back to life. I mean, so let's take a look at Chipotle, because restaurants, that's another consumer side, another human play. This thing has been going sideways for almost a month now. So what does that look like on a monthly chart? That's a pretty interesting looking candle, wouldn't you say, for Chipotle?
Yeah, sure is. And it actually looks like it's trying to break out here. I have the top end of the candle that creates this big gap right about 32 and a half. So not really far away from that. Top of the wick is at 34 there, and a huge gap that fills up at 40. So it is kind of an interesting candle here, 13. You're right on that.
I do, the more I look at this monthly chart, the more I'm starting to like this. I think the way I would play this is let's let this month close and see what we end up getting, and I think that'll give us a good idea of what we can expect next. The support that it's been getting at like around $30, that was previously a resistance area back in 2021. We had a breakout from that level, and we came back in and it was supporting. Resistance again. So I do like that $30 level. Looking at this monthly chart now, if we do get a reversal, the big resistance we're going to have to get over is it seems to be about $35. But the low RSI, this reversal candle, I think this looks pretty good down here, CMG. So I think that's the way I would play it. Let's see how this month closes.
Well, we're almost at the end of the month, so good timing there. Zach saying not touching anything till Friday noon. Or Monday. I think you mean Friday afternoon, which actually means that you're not touching anything till Monday, because remember, we have a half day on Friday. The market is truncated and closes at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
And it's going to be interesting to see if we can, what kind of data we get about the initial foot traffic on Friday, on Black Friday, see how that's going to, cause the market to move. It seems like if it's positive, we do get a lift in the retail stocks. So something I'll be watching for.
Yep. I'm starting to get advertisements for stuff that I want too on Black Friday sale. The car wash soap that I really like, the company Kokemi makes a holiday version that smells like freshly baking apple pies. And nice. It's not available until right now, and it is on Black Friday sales, and you can bet your ass you boys loading up on that.
Look at FLNC after the drop down to 1510. Back up here over VWAP, contending with the 65 EMA, looking to re-enter all the sideways consolidation that we got in the pre-market. 1750, big resistance area. We break through that, probably see the other side of 1850.
Amanda says Friday is going to be so boring for that. I'm now back in silver long. But Amanda, you're going to be hanging out with us on Friday, right? Like after your Thanksgiving, like before the Black Friday really kicks off, before the Bears play the Eagles for first place in the NFC, LOL. You're going to be joining us, right? And trading with us, hopefully.
So we're getting a question from Sean about thoughts on another retail stock that's maybe at a long-term support level. Thoughts on Costco?
Let me bring Costco up to the on the bigger chart here, and let's have a chart breakdown on that really quickly here. Blessed Trader says, I detail the hell out of the truck, but Ryan, you beat me by a landslide with the good smelling car wash. Yo, I don't beat anybody. If you're out there detailing your own car, you're doing a hand car wash, you're winning, Blessed Trader. Lots of positives out of that. Really good stuff. Okay, here's your Costco chart, 13. We are basically holding above the 500. We've tested it twice.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this has really turned around quite yet. It's great that we got that reversal off of my 875 level, but I don't feel comfortable with the way this chart looks. Well, it's under $900. It could potentially go lower, but I think that 875 is still a really important level. We've got to see. We can't see closes beneath it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing I agree with you. Like looking at this, it almost looks like this wants to probe an area lower here. Didn't you have 860 as a level at one point?
No,
Because
I think
overshooting this by $20 seems fairly normal to me. Let's see what the other charts look like.
that was another one of our other happy hour folks that had a price, a support area at 860. That's he said 860. I said 875. Maybe 860 is another support area. I certainly think it could be. Looking at seeing as how we had price action underneath my 875 that goes down to 865, 867 in that area. And then of course you had this 860 breakout area back in August after the yen carry trade. So certainly looks like it could be, but the next big area of support for me, if we lose 875, is going to be down at 800.
Okay. And here's the weekly chart. I think Sean was saying this. 13. Look at weekly charts.
Yeah.
Sean, I'm the one controlling the screen, by the way. But here is, you bring up a really good point about the weekly chart here on Costco. We're beneath the 100-week average there at 191. This, to me, this weekly chart also looks like this wants to push a little bit lower here.
Yeah, I think I'm not a buyer of Costco right now. And besides it, there's other retail names I've been and store names that I've been getting into ahead of this. Like I bought Dollar General a while back, and when it was around $78. So it's got to get these when they're really weak.
Yeah,
and I don't think this one's really hit that weakness quite yet.
Yeah, I'm not buying this right now. I do have a position in this, and I'm up like 150 points on it, so I'm okay kind of holding this right here. But I would agree, I'd want to see this area really hold here. Marcus saying when the brand fades, the dividend follows. Indeed, something to watch for in some of those dividend names. Although I don't think that Costco is at risk of that.
I don't think they are either.
He might have been saying that about something else, to be fair, but I'm just saying that I don't know if that's applicable to Costco.
I'm glad you guys like silver. I still have mine. It's probably end up going higher. It's gonna follow gold.
Did you guys notice that AEM is running commercials on CNBC? No. AEM, Lion's favorite gold stock that he talks about almost every day, and Eco Mines, they are actually running commercials on CNBC.
CETY, it looks like this is still trying to get back over some of these resistance levels from several minutes ago. It looks like it wants to try and get a close over 215 here.
Izzy, yes, trades. It was Kohl's. Kohl's was the one trade here today. That's booked. I'm cleaned up on that one. I did miss SETI. I was looking for maybe a possible play off this VWAP. I ended up not taking it. So the only trade for me, sorry, I got distracted there. The only trade for me was Kohl's here today.
Abercrombie and Fitch put in a new session high just a moment ago. That's still squeezing a little bit. The trades that I did today, I did SYM. I had one trade in that. No, I'm sorry, not SIM, SETI, CETY. I had one trade in that. And I traded a RGTZ twice.
Ooh. Been active with the RGTZ already.
It's so good.
I know. I maybe I just need to like dedicate a chart to this and keep it on my screen so I can join you on that. Because I feel like this, even if we're kind of short on opportunities, we're almost never short on opportunities for the RGTZ, it seems.
I mean, speaking of opportunities, when Rocket Mortgage was at 16 in the pre-market, that really was the time. Look at this move today.
Yeah.
Just printed over 19.
16 in the pre-market?
I think it was Friday in the pre-market. It was 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah, several sessions ago, because this thing's right back up to 19 now. Straight staircase up out of the gate. Jane says, Ryan, for this Thanksgiving, I'm thankful for being here in your Ondas trade that made me money. I am thankful that one of my biggest conviction trades ended up being super profitable for a wide swath of viewers. And then, of course, I'm thankful for each and every one of you joining us here today. 13 and I, we talk about this sometimes off camera too. We absolutely love doing this, and we could not do it without you folks. So I would return that to you, Jane, and everyone else here. 3 trades on SETI, all green, not boring. Harvey, that is a registering worthy comment right there. Let's absolutely go. Lululemon, by the way, this back above 170. Remember, this is in positive seasonality. Tell you what, this Lululemon, I got a sneaking. I might just have to. You know what? I might just have to nibble on some of these because I got a sneaking suspicion that this thing's going to move, and I'm going to be waiting for the perfect entry and the enemy of perfection. And what's the quote? I'm basically going to screw it up, but I feel like I'm going to try and wait for a perfect setup, and then I'm going to miss it, and that's no bueno. We might have to take a look. We might. Let's see. The January 200 calls 850. You can probably get those for per contract. Might nibble on that and give that a shot.
I mean, this thing is absolutely smashed. Absolutely smashed off the highs. You're looking at what is this, a 65% bear market move off the highs from 2023 in December. It's a pretty big discount. And it did come off of it's down at an area where it does look pretty attractive to start getting some if you're gonna have a long-term horizon on this. But I still think there's other retail names I'd prefer.
Yeah, Amanda, I love this. First of all, I made bank on Lulu ratio spreads last week. Well, congrats. That's a registering. I like this, though. Sell a few way out of the money calls to pay for the call for the 200 Jan call. That's not a bad idea. Put some cash in your pocket for those 200s. Honestly, Amanda, maybe this is the way to go. Maybe a spread is the way to go. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Thank you, day trader. You got it. That was what I was trying to think of on the spot and couldn't do it. There you go. Better is the enemy of good enough. I like that too. Don't get me started on doing a Ben Johnson good, better, best here, though. I don't want to start yelling this early in the morning.
Lion, I tend to think that we will as well see Lulu above 200, and I think 225 might be where you see some real annoying resistance kick in. Between 225 and 250, that's where it looks like it's going to run into issues to me. I'm not saying it can't go higher, but if we recapture the 20-week SMA, then I think 225, 250 is going to be the range where it runs into problems.
So real quickly here, I just love the producer's energy. Speaking of spreads, we have Anne-Marie Band coming up at 11, so stick around. Maybe we'll ask her about Lulu there. Graph asking about a ratio spread. And I'll have Amanda. She's better at the multi-leg options than I am, but that's basically where you buy two different strikes in the same expiry. Right, Amanda? Pretty sure. Have AM put together a Lulu position for you guys. You know what? I might ask. You know what? Let me mention that now so I don't forget.
Yeah, Dive, I remember you talking about Zim. I never really looked into what's going on with it until this morning, but it seems like they're exploring potential takeover bids. Some people want to take over the company, buy the company out. Great if it is. I don't know what this would be valued at. I haven't looked at this since last year.
Which one are you looking at? I'm sorry.
Zim Shipping. Also, the candle here today, not sure if this is going to be a reversal or a continuation, but yeah, we've got a nice gap up over a previous resistance area of 1736. It's got this resistance level going back a ways. And it looks to me like if this continues higher, 19 is your next resistance. So well done on your trade. I wasn't looking at this for a swing or anything. And it also looks like it's getting it to be a little bit extended. So I don't know what your plan is, but it seems like this needs a cool off period before it's going to head higher, unless it gets bought out soon.
Whenever Lulu goes down, I buy the 170 put and sell two of the 150s. So you're looking for it to hold that 160 area then, I think.
See, I like everybody's take on the 170 area, 175 area for Lulu. I'm seeing that as well. I really, guys, I think that's probably going to be the spot. I don't have an interest in Lulu, but to me on the technical side, it looks like that's that area that everybody's talking about is the spot.
Okay. No follow through on SETI. Let me take a look at some of these. So
No.
Kohl's is still up near the highs. I sold that about 15 cents ago.
Yeah. The
and
momentum
then
on SETI's like rolling over.
ANF is not. ANF more new highs. Izzy, you're right here. ANF, this gap and go, it looks like here. This gave you an opportunity on that pullback to the VWAP. Another nice launch here for ANF.
ANF KSS. Notice how they are still climbing higher. We're still getting new session highs in this current 5-minute candle on both of them. And they have very high short interest. The squeezes are working today.
Yep, they sure are.
At some point, they're going to stop working. So just be ready for that. But right now, they're doing pretty good.
Abercrombie, by the way, Abercrombie and Fitch men's cologne, the Woods one. That was my first ever, like my own personal cologne. I've graduated since then, but good nostalgic vibes there for Abercrombie and Fitch Woods.
Jay doesn't like Lulu. He thinks it's dead, but he does like Gap. Let's see how Gap's doing today. Up almost 6%. Looks like it's backing off of a higher print. Gap is filling a gap right now.
Who would have thought?
It's quite a large gap too. I mean, they had a big drop off of must have been an earnings print. They really ran up into it off of the Liberation Day unwind. And let's see, what is this? The 30th of May. So I imagine we'll see. Yep. 29th of May. That was the day before. So yeah, that's the reason for the gap down.
Real quick, sorry, I thought you were done.
Go ahead.
Marcus here saying, here are the levels for Abercrombie. One of the things you'll notice is that we're past all of them. We're past all of them here. Support 74, 5, and 6. Resist 8, 9, and 80. We are at 82.67. This thing sure looks like it's going for 84.
Let's see if there's let's see what else we can find here with some levels. Oh, wow, we got a lot of data. So we're approaching the 200-day SMA. That's going to be at 83.25. That's probably going to be your next resistance area as we fill this gap from October 3rd. This was a Friday, October 3rd to Monday, October 6th. That gap is going to fill at looks like about 84.50, 84.48. So that would mean that we could see this move, this print past the 200-day SMA, and then come back in and close beneath it. Something that potentially could happen with ANF.
There are no words for how loud and smelly the store is. The store is super loud. Like the music in there is just too loud. Although I haven't been in some time. So, Amanda, I trust your judgment on that one. I trust your judgment. Jay here saying, repeat, Abercrombie earned more than Dick's this quarter. The executive chairman, Ed Stack, is on CNBC now discussing the Foot Locker acquisition. Dick's down like, I think 4% now. Let's take a look here at Dick's. DKS down 2.75%. So not quite 4%, I beg your pardon.
So Dick's price action today was a attempt to recapture the 500 and the 200-day SMAs and getting rejected. Man, I don't know how much lower this can really go. I mean, it can certainly go lower, but this is going to get the attention of some bargain hunters if this gets down to, I would say, 190. I don't know what you think about that, but
Jay thinks Abercrombie going to 100, which would give it a 10 PE.
Okay. I see that's an area where it's still resistance. So okay, I can see that happening, but I don't know. No, I don't think it's going to happen today. I think the price action today is what I was describing earlier. At least that's what we could get, this morning. Want to see that gap fill that takes us just over the 200-day SMA, and then I want to see that 200-day SMA provide some resistance as it did when the price went up over $100 in August this year and was rejected at the 200-day SMA.
As far as NVIDIA goes here, question here, how low on NVIDIA? Really quick, we had a guest this morning, Charlie Moon from T3. We actually covered the NVIDIA chart. That was back between the 830 and 850 time frame. So if you want to go back and get his levels, you can do that. Looking at NVIDIA here, starting with the weekly chart, we are riding this downtrend. This trend line originated at the beginning of November. We continue to stay under that. We're still under the 20-week moving average. When we zoom in and look at the day, we continue to break away here. It sure looks to me like your next spot here, 165, but ultimately 153 is your 200-day. We talked about this, maybe trying to go for the 200-day or maybe even around that round 150 number. I think 165 represents a support level prior to that. I can't tell you for sure. My expectation is that we continue to see some rotation out of some of the big tech winners. And while I don't think the story with NVIDIA is done, I think you probably have a number of folks and funds raising capital for some of the big AI IPOs next year. I'm still going to be on that theme going into 2026. So what I would say here to answer your question directly, 165 and 153 would be my next downside targets on NVDA.
I'm just taking a look at McDonald's right now. It certainly seems like it really wants to get over and start closing over this 310 level. Seems like volume is still a little light, but it's above VWAP. It's traded up into a bull flag. I really tend to think that if we're going to get this move over 310 and start closing over it, it's going to have to be a good size volumetric move, not this volume we're seeing right now. And you guys are talking about NVIDIA can get down to 165, 152. Dive deep is mentioned.
153 is the 200 there.
Okay. Here's Abercrombie right at the 200-day SMA right now. So we certainly got that move up there. Now let's see if we can fill this gap that I was just talking about. And then, whatever happens after this, if it comes back and close under the 200, great. But it would be checking all the boxes I was looking for today with this move here in ANF. Long NVIDIA says Judge. He is slamming the gavel down.
I like that. Let me refresh Pro here, see if I can get some better latency. Volume does look like it kind of dried up. Volume today looks less impressive than yesterday, which was less impressive than the day before. That's to be expected.
That does not mean that we won't see some crazy moves. I just think that we're just going to see a lot more illiquidity. And it could be outsized, ridiculous moves in either direction. Let's see. So,
breaking down.
The different levels that I have here for, interesting, that I've had marked off here for NVIDIA since we've been up here. We just broke down through 171. That was the one of the earlier levels I had for support. The ones beneath it are going to be 168, 165, 153, and 145. I have more levels beneath that, but I don't know that we're going to get down to those that soon.
Lion, I can't tell if you're joking or not. That's kind of my thing here. I guess I'll just roll the dice here. BJ's Wholesale Club. This actually sold off yesterday in the afternoon. This is holding the. This was, I think, they had earning. Let me check here. Let me get familiarized here. That was been Friday. Excuse me. Yeah, Friday we had earnings, right? So it was Friday morning we had earnings here, beat top and bottom line. We did have a slew of re-ratings here. They go all the way up to 120. That's UBS. That looks like a street high, at least from this. Looking at the chart, though, we kind of reversed after those earnings. We're up by 1.5%. I'll be honest, given what we've seen in some of the other 13, the human trade, given what we're seeing in some of these other names, I'd actually like to see a better situation here from BJ. What I will say, though, here is that this 88, 87 level, this does look like some pretty good support. And not just recently, this was also support and resistance going back to 2024. So it does seem like you're at a spot here. I got nothing. Do you have anything on this one, BJ's Wholesale Club?
I'll look at that just a second. I was just going to mention with ANF, we got our move through the 200-day SMA. We did get a gap fill in the sense that we hit the low from Friday, October 3rd. We didn't get up to the close, which is 84.48. We did breach that that gap from the low, which was 84.14. Current high of ANF in this session, 84.18. Still think there might be a little bit more upside, but if we reverse here and start losing the 200-day SMA, I still think that that's good enough price action for what I was looking for. Now let me take a look here at the BJ. This kind of looks like it could go lower. Hold on a second. Let me just think about this one some more. What was your concern about where we're at with this one?
My concern right here is that, first of all, the reaction post earnings and the sympathy reaction with some of the other good earnings is less than ideal. Furthermore, we're actually sitting near a fairly significant, what I deem is a fairly significant support area at 87 and change, maybe even up to 88. This area goes all the way back to 2024, so it's not just a recent thing. My concern here is that, especially if we're not able to recapture this 50-day, which I have just shy of $91, this thing might probe a level lower. And actually, now that I'm looking at this a little bit more, we are still kind of in a downtrend here with some of these recent highs and lows. We continue to make lower highs and lower lows in a fairly shallow down channel.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's concerning to me right now is how we lost the 500-day SMA. We're beneath it right now. If we spend the next couple of days trading up and are not able to recapture it, I think that rejection is going to lead to some more downside. This might be a good time to start buying it if you have a long-term, thought on how, where this is going to go. Like if you're going to hold it for a year or longer. But I don't think that the bottom is in, just based on what I'm seeing here. It still looks like there's potential for this to maybe even print some lower prints, probably down around 85, maybe even a little bit lower than that.
Okay, well, looking at the chart here, I mean, 85 doesn't even seem like a ridiculous level either. That's another support area that comes off this October 24 area. So, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm just not quite convinced that we're turning around just yet. So I think that would be the big thing for me is, can it get back above that 500-day SMA and start closing above it? That's, I think, what I would want to see.
Okay. Let's see. We got anything else moving here? It looks like Google's at the top of the list there. Let's see. Google. Okay, so that dip got bought on Google. We talked about that dip right out of the open. Looks like that's getting bought.
A lot of the names, the movers from this morning, are kind of going sideways.
Yeah.
SYM sideways, FLNC still trying to get over the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. That's going sideways. Pony sideways. Icon been sideways all morning. LNAI, this thing's still in a downtrend. I think this went right back to where, it went back to start. So this can do anything. LNAI. SETI. This is coming down to a support area. I want to say 155-ish. So it looks like 165 is certainly a support level that it was holding up into the open. So if we start closing under 165, we see some candles close under 165. I think that's going to lead to some more downside here with CETY.
Really quick, I had a massive Oracle trade cross the wire here. They were the 220 puts that expire September of 2026. 600 contracts were traded at $3.04 million worth of premium. I don't have any other information on this trade, but looking at the daily chart here, it actually looks like this is a trader that bought puts when the stock was higher, cashing out that bet. $3 million, the premium paid back to the trader here. If that is in fact the case, if this is a large trade that's being booked for gains here, sure seems like this trader thinks the down move in Oracle might be done. The chart looks fairly interesting here. This is at the top end of the range back from November of 2024. This thing's down from what, 340s? Yeah, 340s. So just a massive, massive move down here. Looks like that trader is banking gains, but looks like that trade might be done. Maybe a potential up move is the next move here in Oracle.
It seems so to me. I mean, this is a massive 46% move from the highs back in September. So I would think so. I would think that, and the RSI is, really, it's an oversold territory. So I think, yeah, this is about the time. There could it go a little bit lower, maybe. It did kind of stop mid gap fill to the downside. The gap being from June. So I still think we could end up seeing somewhat of a gap fill. But let's say that this is, where it turns around. It's got a lot of levels it needs to recapture, starting with 200. And yeah, Rocket is absolutely tearing it up right now, guys. 1930 is the 32 is the high. This might be finding some kind of a top soon here for, I don't know if it's going to be the time being or just for the whole session. But this is starting to get a little extended.
Sassy Butterfly Chick, welcome. I was wondering, good to hear that you're okay. We have been communicating with Rooster, who has been dominating recently, so you got to be happy about that. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well. Really, really excited about that. Glad you're giggling back there. Laughter is the best medicine.
So ANF did get closer to that gap fill, 84.40. We're looking for 84.48, I think is what the gap fill was. Pretty dang close. Could still start to turn around here. Coal's getting some support down near VWAP. This hasn't hit the $22 spot yet. We did get over 21, fortunately. I'm not sure if we're going to see a break over 21.35, the high we put in with this kind of volume. But, as long as we hold above VWAP, there's still a good shot for coals to press higher towards 22 today.
Really quickly, I noticed that PMCB, this is a penny stock that is spiking into dollar territory, currently up 63% right now. Looks like we got news here this morning, just ahead of the open, 15 minutes ahead of the open, that are selling their Femesis stake. That is ticker FEMY. So it's selling their stake for $20 million. PMCB up 63% on the back of that. Femi here, FEMY. This is actually up 12% here today, also into dollar territory.
This is a site of rejection for PCMB. If you look at the daily chart, the 200-day SMA is right where this price is at. And look at the rejection it has experienced from this moving average going back pretty much into last year as well. There are some days where it did close above it, so certainly that might happen as well. But this has pretty much been a big time site of rejection for the stock going back toward the first quarter of 2024.
Yeah, I was going to say this actually looks like 115 has some wicks up there.
Great mention though.
Yep. Spotify plans a U.S. subscription price hike in Q1. James, I'll be honest with you. I kind of thought that was coming. Thought to myself, boy, they're probably going to raise the price of this. What are the details on that?
I'm not sure about this chart. If this does trade back up, I think I would give this a 615 to 620 area where it could get rejected.
Now, do you think that, this should mean more profit.
But it might mean fewer subscribers.
But that's kind of what I'm getting at here is the calculus there. James just offering this, I'll pay it. What is the price? I didn't see it there in the news feed. Maybe it did come across the wire there. What is the new price? I think I pay 11, but I don't even know what. God, that's so bad.
Yeah, Lion. Yeah, and you're right. We absolutely are killing it on MRK. This is a great time to get it, and then it fits in with the whole human side theme as well. Absolutely, and I hope absolutely. I hope they did too, or at least did some options trading with it.
Yeah, I didn't do any options on Merck, but I do have that in a long-term account. Actually, on 13's recommendation there, I was not a huge fan of Merck. $11.99, so it's going up $1.
And you know what? Let's
I'm with you.
Maybe something you could ask Anne-Marie if there's more ways to play this trade.
Okay, let me add that to the docket. Good call.
This thing, had a golden cross earlier this month. It's been on an absolute tear, breaking through some major resistance at 100. and also taking out the 500-day SMA. We're doing that today, so we'll see if we get a close above that. I mean, this thing looks like it could be a great pullback trade because it's kind of getting extended, but I still think this is going to end up going higher over the longer term. So just something that maybe you guys could work out there. You know what? Hit the like for Lion, folks. He's been pounding the table about MRK, and
Yeah, he has.
some of y'all have been picking it up. I know I did. So hit the like for our man Lion.
Cisco calls, 82.5 calls, 1,300 of those calls were bought. The expiry on that September of 2026. Trader paid $750,000 for that. Yeah, I use Spotify for more than just music too, James. I use it every time I work out. I do podcasts while I work out. I use Spotify for that. I use Spotify while I'm in the car. I actually am using Spotify right now to play a soundtrack of bird noises for my bird, who I have in a bathroom with no windows. I hate doing it, but I put on bird sounds for him to talk with. I use Spotify for anything you can come up with. Marcus mentioning ON. That was the last time we took a look at this. This was a great trade for us. Where are we at with this one? This is a nice move here again today on ON. What's the longer term chart look like here? Okay, so it's still 44. So the area of note here on ON still 44. Need to get above that to make another substantial move higher here.
Yeah, I do like 44. I like 44 to 45. I like that whole range there. Just that whole dollar range that has different areas of rejection. Every time the price has been underneath here. So I like that whole range. But yeah, I agree with 44 and 45.
Okay, good stuff there. Good stuff on that.
Look at PMCB still trying to get over that area I was talking about. It might do it here, but man, that 200-day SMA, big time side of rejection for
this. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Does Buddy think that there's a party in the bathroom and he isn't invited? Buddy thinks there is a party any place he is not invited to. So it doesn't matter if there's bird sounds playing in there. If a door's closed, you think there's a party back there.
Forgot about Crocs too. That's also making some nice gains here. Getting support from the 50-day SMA now as opposed to resistance. And it looks like PMCB finally made a move over that 115 area.
Yeah, it did.
Let's see if it can hold it.
It did. James saying audiobooks in the truck. James, I'm actually looking into a side gig for reading audiobooks, doing some type of voiceover work. I don't know how successful I'm going to be with the whole AI thing going on, them doing that at a much cheaper price, but looking into that. How shocked would you be if you started up an audiobook and it was me reading it to you? That'd be something else. Well, let me know how you'd feel about that.
McDonald's, this moving slowly, but it's resolving the pattern we were talking about, where it was like a bullpen, I think it said it was, but it's resolving to the upside here. Still got to take out the 310.58 that it put in earlier this morning, but it's getting up there. It is getting up there. Looks like a lot of these names that we've been trading this morning, they're all starting to look a little bit weaker now.
Yep.
Icon still looks like that's going to lose a dollar. Pony, this has been sideways, but still getting support from the VWAP. SYM is starting to lose a key support level here, so that might come in a little bit more as well. FLNC, this one with a great recovery, but still not above that sideways consolidation from the pre-market. CETY, this one we kind of anticipated coming back in. And it is getting some support from that area we mentioned, 165. But if that doesn't hold up, then it's going to come down to under 150.
Okay, so it would be cool. You'd listen to. Okay, so my voice wouldn't scare you off the book. That's good to know. Good to know there.
Now, what audio books are you going to do?
Well, I'm still in the exploratory phase. Like from what I understand, and thank AI for helping me with this. But what I understand, I actually need to create like a demo tape and then there are a couple of different places where I can drop that and see if it gets. So I don't know how much control I'm going to have, unless someone has like an in into that, and you can introduce me to somebody. Then maybe I have more of a chance. But I'm probably going to have to go at this cold, and I'm going to have to make a demo tape and all that stuff, and just haven't got to it yet. But it's something that would be interesting. That'd be fun to do too.
Java Man mentioning that KSS high a day. That's true. We just popped up to a new high of day of 2138 and still backing off from that. I just wanted to know, Ryan, are you going to, when you do your audio tape, you got to do individual voices for each character?
See, that'd be difficult. I don't know that I could. I don't know that I could do that.
I think honestly. You could. If you tried it, like if you read a book and you kind of imagine what the character would sound like based off of another actor, you know how to imitate their voice. Write down whenever you see this character come up that you have to switch to that voice.
Ryan, you should do Harlequin novels. That's like those are like the cheap love story things. Sean, I would be terrible at that. Use AI of my voice for individual characters. That would be something. Thank you, Lion. Tropical romance novels with Buddy in the background. Nick, I don't know if that's going to go over very well. Our Bitcoin poll results are in. By December 31st, we polled you on what the price of Bitcoin would be. 34% of you said 85 to 100K. 33% of you said under 75K. 21% of you, this is the cohort that I was in, says 75 to 80K, and 12% of you said over 100K.
Is now the time to buy? I wouldn't think so. Yeah, we just had earnings with that yesterday, Jay. So yeah, pretty nice move for Zoom. And I was also mentioning, and this is aside from Zoom, a really nice move here with the reversal and the earnings. When we see tech come back, we're going to see a lot of these the junky quantum names also come back as well. So just keep that in mind. And one thing I'm seeing here with Rigetti's chart is that on Friday, that was a pretty nice reversal candle. So I'm wondering if we start to trade up higher right now, and Rigetti is only going to be really good for, very, very short intraday trades. I don't know that this is going to continue lower at the moment, especially with this illiquid environment. This might start to come back up towards 27, 28.
I've got 28.13. That's the bottom end of the support region that we drew. I would try. The last time that we went up there, we reversed and went right to the trend line. That happened quick. So I might even try that again. To be honest. Is he asking about news on this market? No, I didn't see. I mean, I saw a whole bunch of data prints, but none of them were fresh. This looks like this is just kind of digestion there. And higher we go. Now, remember, sorry, 13, I'll get you in here in a sec, but really quickly on the SPY, we talked about some of the key levels here today. I talked about those upside levels being 672.90, the 20-day moving average, basically 673. That's also the previous all-time high breakout level. That's 2.5 points away. I think that represents our upside level there. Now, which chart did you need there, 13?
I didn't need a particular chart. I was just going to respond to what Christoph was saying about Russia selling their assets since their economy's in the trash. It's more than that. There's, there were these sanctions that took effect on two of their companies, Lukoil and I think it's called Rosneft. But they're major oil companies in Russia, and they had sanctions put on them on Friday, so nobody could do business with them. So the scramble was for them to try and sell as many of their assets as they could before they came under sanctions, because once that happened, nobody could transact with them unless they would get sanctioned as well. So there was a scramble to sell assets. There were some other developments happening in Iraq where Russia tried to force majeure the Iraqi oil fields that some of their companies owned. And I think I don't remember the result of that, but I think Iraq resisted that. Basically said kick rocks. So there's a lot of things that are happening. You're right that their economy is trash right now because of the war and all the sanctions against them. But there was an absolute scramble for those companies to get rid of their assets as quickly as possible before they weren't even able to sell them.
You know, we got news this morning that Ukraine accepted in principle the outline of the peace deal. I don't know if you saw that here. Crude down 2.7%. It actually sold off on that headline.
I'm going to have to look into that some more because I've been only looking at the movers. Didn't catch that headline, so I'll take a look at that after the show here.
I don't know if there are any more details to read into. It was just the headline that I saw. So, but it immediately said, and I know because we had someone talking about the price of crude oil before the show started. Brian made a really good call there that it's likely going to go lower, and not 15 minutes later, we got that headline that drove it down by 2%.
Take care, Judge.
Take care of yourself, Judge. Happy Thanksgiving if we don't see you tomorrow. But we will see you tomorrow. You're the judge. You'll be there. Be sure to join us tomorrow for a Thanksgiving cooking stream. After I get off the show here today, I'm going to set my computer up in the kitchen so that we can videotape all of that. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to live stream the deep fry. I'll turn my camera on. So seeing that Wiss was talking about OSRH, don't know what you were with the whole thing here was with this, but nice move. Looks like you're getting a 20-cent move here, 20-cent plus move on a penny stock, which is great. What was the thought here? Would you get into this knowing that they had some news coming? Let me know. Let me know.
Yeah, Felicia says kindergarten teachers know how to change their voice for stories. Certainly, you can do this too.
That's true.
Felicia, you're not wrong. Your comment's not wrong. I was looking forward to not doing that though.
And PMCB hit 120, coming back in pretty hard. So that 20-day SMA is still providing that resistance. I don't want to say that this is done for the day because it's still a lot of morning left, but there is going to be some support coming. It's going to have to happen pretty soon around 190 to 195. I'm sorry, 90 to 95 cents.
I'm still looking for that here real quick. Just give me a second. I know we have an all access to go to here pretty soon.
I'm just looking at some of these other movers. KSS.
Why don't you wrap it up here? Let's do that.
Okay, sure. Well, you know what? Don't think a lot of these names are done yet, but just keep an eye on them for some more trades. Don't force anything. We have a very illiquid environment that we're trading in here. A lot of these moves can go rapidly in one direction or the other because of how little volume and how much illiquidity there is right there. So, folks, if we don't see you for the rest of the week, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll be back here tomorrow, so I'll see you then if you're going to stick around. Until then, take care, everybody. Goodbye.
And also back here on Friday, as you promised us the other day there as well.
So. I will be.
Okay, awesome. Really good stuff, 13. Thanks again for everything. Have a great one. We'll catch you tomorrow. We are almost there, buddy. At this point now, we are going to go over to all access, though. So I'm going to send it over to Dan. We will be coming back here for Anne-Marie after that. But for now, enjoy all access. Thanks, Ryan. Got a real special all access coming up for you here today. I am with Richard MacPherson, CEO, founder, and president of Birchtech, a leader in clean technology focused on clean air technologies dedicated to water purification. All access starts right now. Hey, Richard, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Oh, great, Ryan. Nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Look, really excited here. Birchtech just reported, some third quarter earnings results and said that September ending quarter marked a clear transition point towards profitability for the company. Can you tell us about that? What happened during the quarter that put Birchtech closer to profitability?
Well, we're profitable that quarter. We've got a really nice turning point for the company now where the profits are starting to come in and be reported on a quarterly basis. We expect a strong finish to the year. And a lot of it's to do, Ryan, with the movement that we've made, the progress we've made in our water treatment division, which we've been building up over this past year or two. We're very pleased with the pipeline that we have going into 26 and expect to continue to make announcements with regard to sales on that side of our company, on top of course, our core business, the air pollution business.
Okay, that sounds great. Look, revenue growth of 41% year over year is pretty impressive and was driven in large part by growth in licensing revenue. What's happening with utilities that are improving these relationships and boosting revenue?
Yeah, so the big thing, Ryan, here is we've been tracking and discussing with folks that have been using our technologies for years, the need for them to get a license from us. And that would open the door for us as well to start selling product to them. So we've been very successful with that of late in the past 3-4 months. And now you're starting to see that being reported in real terms, real dollars. But the biggest part of that, of course, is that now they're licensed to do business with our technology. We can now move forward and start supplying them all of the materials that are necessary, which is what our core business is mostly built up. So what you can take from that is, with these licenses in place, now we've improved our pathway forward to additional product sales starting in 2026.
Okay, so that sounds like a really good spot for a nice ramp there. Now, during the third quarter, Birchtech achieved the first commercialization of its water treatment solutions, including purchase orders from a large mid-Atlantic utility. Tell us about that and what it means for the part of the business going forward.
Yeah, sure. So Ryan, a lot of people know about our research and our design centers. They know about our reactivation capacities and our analytical skills. And all of those are being used, of course, with folks like the recently announced CEC engineering firms to help them with their clients figure out what needs to be done on the forever chemical front. But what most people don't know is we've also been very active in the general water treatment side of things, providing options for both the water utilities and the power utilities for their water processes in order to be able to get the chemicals that they need to operate. So we've hired a number of new people over the past 3-4 months. They're now ramped up and starting to produce results. And I very much expect that this area of our business will add a significant amount of revenue through 2026 as these folks start to pull in the business that they've been working on.
Okay, that's fantastic. I know investors care a lot about revenue. Look, can you give us an update on the final judgment on the company's $57 million patent infringement verdict? I know Birchtech's counsel has requested $160 million. Is that a likely outcome?
It's not for me to say, Ryan. I wish it was. However, we have an extremely astute judge, very, very dedicated to getting things right. He's come out with 2 very detailed reports of late over the last 4 or 5 months. The most recent opinion was very, very detailed. So we feel very, very good about the process he's involved in, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, and expect that when he's good and ready to come out with his final judgment, it will consider all of the different things that we've said about the case and about the trial itself and what happened during the trial. And so we feel very confident in the request that we've made to the judiciary. And so we just have to wait and see. But it's expected that all of the planning and all of the work that's gone into the case to date should pay off with a very solid verdict.
Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, looking out to the remainder of the year, how are you feeling about the company's prospects? What's going to be the big growth drivers for the rest of this year and then into 2026?
We're mostly focused at this point, being mid-November, on 2026. We're finalizing the sales and buttoning things up for 2025. We've given guidance for $18 million for this year. And we, of course, expect to meet that. But as we go into 2026, we'll be looking to expand our revenues based on those things that we've been speaking about: the water treatment materials, the research development side of our company is turning into a profit center on its own, and also the granular activated carbon work that we're doing, both in reactivation and our projection of entering that from a sales point of view in the second quarter of 26. So we do expect a significant ramp through 2026, given the licenses that we've been able to sell and the ramp on the water side. So we expect to have a very strong year in 2026, and I look forward to giving firm guidance on that as we enter the new year.
Okay, absolutely fantastic. Look, everybody knows how important water is. Richard, thanks so much for joining us here today. Really excited about your path to a more sustainable future here, especially with regards to water.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay, that is Richard MacPherson, founder, president, and CEO of Birchtech. That's ticker BCHT on the TSX and BCHT on the OTC. Thank you very much, Richard, for joining us. And now I'll kick it back to Ryan. Great name, by the way. Yeah, that is a pretty good name. Thanks, Ryan. By the way, good job on the interview, and handsome guy there, so we'll take that. Now, with that mind-bending Matrix-like Inception toss here, it's now time to bring on Anne-Marie. Thanks for showing everybody that it's a video there. Let's go ahead and bring on Anne-Marie and see how she's doing. Anne-Marie, did you like that?
Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually. Very funny.
I was like, you know what? I'm at minimum, I'm going to have fun with this if that's the case, right? I even put on the same shirt, so we got the whole thing down here.
Alternate reality.
Alternate reality,
That's
indeed. We'll take it. I'd like to get into an alternate reality to Thanksgiving here, so if you know how to make time speed up, I'd appreciate that. But in lieu of that, let's go ahead and take a look at some different option trades here today. I'm not sure if you were available earlier on the stream here today, but we did talk about Lulu and perhaps MRK.
Yeah, absolutely. So, not to draw a little sunshine to myself, but I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Okay.
On Friday, I came and I said, hey, we're going to have some sunshine here. Have a look.
Yeah, you did.
Because we've got ourselves a little bit of a bottoming. And then the week began, and the morning video that I do for the Benzinga Pro members, folks, if you're in Benzinga Pro platform, you can go to my channel, but I'm going to start posting it in the Pro channel just so people can see the levels if they're into it. But what I said was institutional traders have closed their books for the month. So the big call walls and put walls are not likely to move. Retail traders are going to run the show all this week. And so what happens when retail traders are in charge, 8 times out of 10, price action trends higher. So if you've been watching your Twitter feeds or you're talking to your guys in your news streams and you're used to ordinary flow where price action actually does resist at resistance, you've been getting blown out of your shorts because it keeps rising higher. So for this entire week, we've got, I had an RIA say earlier in the week, talking about us retail traders, he said, well, the inmates are running the asylum. And so that's what's going on. So we have nicer pricing. It's still a little bit messy, but good pricing. Dips are getting bought, but the volume is very thin. So when that happens, we have a tendency to see a minor correction where they'll come in and they'll go, oh, isn't this great? This is what happens every time we leave the market. It gets bid up and now we can sell into supply. And that's what the inventory events that are likely to happen in the next week or so, they're going to pull it back and then we'll get another run to the upside. Just wanted to give you a backdrop.
Okay, perfect.
That being said, Lulu and Merck are excellent candidates for what we're looking at. So let's take a look at Lulu first. Now, we talked about Lulu right after its disastrous earnings event, and it literally has been basing for almost 3 months. So what does basing mean? It means the traders are actually sitting in here and saying, you know what? we're going to buy it every time it comes down into this $160 area. My thought was, if we lost 158, we would have more problems to the downside. We haven't. We actually haven't been more than, $2 inside of that one. And so we've got some upside drift building. So the question is, what kind of upside are we looking for? And it looks to be pretty tepid. Now, why is that? If we take a closer look, so I briefly saw the Kohl's report that you had, and my suspicion is that retail is not going to do as well as it normally does into the end of the season, because that's not where institutional flow is going to rotate this time around. We've got credit spreads widening. We've had, 10 multi-billion-dollar financial institutions get some hiccups. We have CoreWeave credit now at C. People at institutional levels are buying credit default swaps. I don't know if you remember those things, like they bought for AIG, and Paulson saved his own skin at Goldman because they had written all those credit default swaps, but they're writing credit default swaps against some of these spaces. Meta has moved from, like 64 billion in cash now to, 12 or something like that. So I don't believe that this retail event is going to move as dramatically. However, it does have a couple of points to move. Man, Anne-Marie, you're taking so long, so many words. But this is what we're staring down. We're staring down a front test of about 187, and then maybe we get to 200 into the end of the year. But right in front of that is an earnings event. And so remember what's been happening. If we do really well with earnings, we bounce and then we give back a little. And if we do poorly with earnings, we fall out of bed and hit our head on the nightstand. So that's what we're staring down. So there are a couple of ways. Let's go see where the traders are sitting. Now, tell me, Ryan, what is your preference to the length of time you want to take a trade in Lulu? Are you looking to December? Are you looking to right after earnings? What are you thinking about?
Yeah. So, just looking at the Lulu chain and how expensive it is, when I was looking at options earlier, I looked at the January contract. So I basically want to encompass the rest of this year. Not much more than that, because I feel like I'm going to be paying a pretty price for that premium. That's not easy to say, by the way.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking probably the January expiry is where I would look.
Okay. So someone, or many folks, prior to this fade in Lulu, I know that some big institutions have access to when these big trades are put on, and they keep it in a logbook. But as we know, the Chicago Board Options Exchange does not allow us to see this data unless we pay, a couple $1,000,000 a month to look at it. And so this flow, pretty interesting, but it's at 300. That's where the call wall is. Oh, that's March. Heavens to Betsy. No wonder. I was like, what? Okay, let's go to Jan. All right, let's see where the call wall is. Okay, looks like the call wall is at the big fat round number of 200.
And 250.
250 would be a gamma level 1, certainly of interest, but because there's literally 50% more open interest than at that 250 level, that will be the one we focus on. Volume today is 600. Here's my thought. If you want to do something like that, this is the same strike I would use, the same one for December as for January. 190, 200, 210. Why, Anne-Marie? Why do you want to do that? One, I don't believe they hit this call wall based on what the rotation in inventory around retail looks like. It is generally weak. They're expecting the consumer to pull back. Remember, the market is a forward pricing mechanism, and so we want to be careful about that. Okay, now here's the next one. What if these guys have a pretty rough go at it in this earnings event? Where's the put wall? The put wall is way down here at 145. Now remember, this thing's printing at 176. So 145 is like 20% away.
Yeah.
Right? But so is that 200 level. That, I mean, not quite 20%, but it is pretty far. The 250 would be more than that 20%. So it does look a little bit like a hedge. If I were trading both sides, I would do the 155, 145, 135, and it would give me 70 cents. If you own Lulu, let's say you're a Lulu stock owner, like many of our Benzinga Pro members, they do buy stock and then sell calls against it and do all kinds of interesting things. If you are that, that's not a bad insurance policy, right? 70 cents, $70 for an insurance policy, that's $1,000 wide. Okay. Also, we got this rotation of moving into the jeans event. And so I think Lulu's facing a lot of headwinds. I think they're facing a fair bit of headwinds. So that's my supposition right there in the near term. I know you don't like that one.
Well, no, I mean, it's all right. I mean, we talked about this having positive seasonality before, but you're right to mention the headwinds there. So
yeah,
maybe stay
and
away.
The spread, here's the interesting thing. The spread, this is the 10-year line, and this yellow one is the 5-year line. So the 10-year line actually shows relative downward drift, while the 5-year line shows it flat to up. And to me, that screams of short iron condor, right? And so if I am a betting man, my thought would be, hey, listen, let's sell the iron condor right there. Let's sell that. Where's the second one? 210, 220. 145, 135. And you get 370. $2 is usually my minimum, but I don't think they go anywhere. I think they move up, they move down, and then it goes back to some sideways basing. But if you do take the iron condor, my favorite thing to say is, listen, get yourself $1 out of this iron condor and then hit the fire escape. Don't wait for all of that to collect, because many times the market throws us curves that we may or may not realize are coming. So,
okay,
next one. Let's take a look at Merck.
Perfect. By the way, Lulu has its earnings. They have not confirmed the date, but that earnings report is in the next week or two. It says
I saw the
13 days
6th.
till the estimate. Yeah, I think the 6th is actually a weekend day, though. Yeah, the 6th is a Saturday. So I would imagine it's going to be next week, either the 4th or 5th. If not, probably then the 11th or 12th, because I think they report on a Thursday, if I recall correctly.
Okay. All right.
Well, we're right there.
So Merck looks good. Has Merck had a stock split or something? I don't remember them being just $100. Okay.
Let me pull up the history there. Should have
It
had that
doesn't look-
ready.
Not
Sorry.
in the last year they've had it, so I just must not be paying attention. Okay.
Merck's last stock split was 2021.
Okay. Heavens, I hope it's not been that long since I've looked at this. Okay, so let's have a look. See, we do know that there's been quite a bit of rotation into healthcare,
Yep.
and that continues. So take a look at the very big picture, and very big is maybe very big to an intraday trader and a short-term trader like me. But let's go low of September 2021 to the high of June 2024. So the 50% mark is right where we're sitting. And so we've got inventory that's been accumulating or distributing in a big pocket through this range. Interestingly, right where the weekly chart opened up. Just right where it is. Now, this has had some dramatic movement. It is unusual, to say the least, that this chart has this kind of motion without a region of sideways behavior. So I do not expect this to run up to the mountainside and wave goodbye to everyone behind us. We simply are not in that kind of market currently. Now, 2022, we might have been, but not this one. This one is much more cautious. And so we see a resistance line at the 61.8 retracement up over the top into 110. It does show a really nice spike into the end of the year, but look at what it says about January into the earnings, right? It is down, minor bounce, and down again. So unless you're trading this into the first week of January, I'm not sure this is a great trade. Now, let's say you are trading it in the first week of January. Which chain would you choose? You choose the January chain. Now, why? Well, you can always get out of the January chain early. And statistically speaking, a lot of folks that take these kinds of trades will say, listen, you want to cover 20 days before the expiration. So let's see how we can accumulate revenue stream from this space. First, let's, hang on, rain is a sieve there. Okay, here's the last break. That's 95 and then 110. Let's see what we got. If we do the 95, 85, 110, 120, we get $2.50 in the Iron Condor. Again, you want about $1 of that, but it's got a great delta. Remember, the delta is the probability of being wrong, and you've only got an 8% probability of being wrong here in this Iron Condor in the current sitting. They're looking at about $10, so that's going to put us right on the edge of the 95 and right over the edge of 110. But I'm fairly certain that the motion into that 110 is going to reject, especially come January 5th, at which point you'll go bye-bye, right? 10 to 20 days before expiration, you want to leave this trade. Now, let's say you're looking for directional motion. Where is the call wall for January? Well, it's in the money. The call wall was 100. So remember, when a call wall gets broken to the upside, what the traders actually want to do is shove it back down under that price. So it's looking for that 95 area in the space. And you can see 90 also being a lot of interested parties there. Well, what that tells you is they never expected this chart to move, what? Oh, it's almost, wow,
15
that's
points.
40,
Yeah, almost 20.
40% in 3 weeks. Yeah, they're not expecting that. That's very outsized. And so top of the box is where they're likely to run. So if you're thinking, hey, it's going to move to the upside, you know, what I do, I might do a butterfly that says, hey, here is 100 to 110 to 120, but it's expensive, right? It might be better to just say, all right, I'm going to take the 110, 115 spread for $1 and see if I can make 4x. Because if it's going to move up, I'm going to be in pretty good shape. Okay. If you're thinking about, well, maybe that rolls over, you can do the 95 to 90 spread, and it's only 64 cents. So you're going to be looking at about 6x if it gets all the way to 90. Best bet, it sits in this iron condor, but you literally can take, well, if you changed the, let's see if it's got a, nope. Yeah, if you change that to the second, you literally could take all of these trades and they could all work. Well, no, either one or the call or the put will work, but all of your funds will be taken care of with that short iron condor. You certainly can do that.
Cool. I love that. I love that. You're basically financing these upside trades with the condor. That's a great move. So
yeah, exactly. So that's what's going on there. Let's take a look at the index just for giggles and see what's happening in the S&P 500.
okay. I do have another suggestion for a trade if we
Sure,
have that
absolutely.
from the audience. So
yeah, so we have, get this, 413 issues are advancing on $572 million, million shares. 89 are declining at 443 million. So there's just a 25% difference between the volume of decliners to the volume of advancers, but more than 4 times the advancers than decliners. This is heavy volume for declining action.
Yeah.
So someone's liquidating into the upper prices. Okay, I'm ready. What's next?
Okay. Jay here had some suggestions. How about some upcoming earnings? We have AMBA tonight, AMBA tonight, and DE tomorrow.
Okay, so Amarillo, I know these guys, this is a really good company, and they've been around forever. But you can see they're sitting in a range that is legitimately almost 3 years wide. And so the question is, seasonality shows it to be very negative in the early part of the year. It tends to clip up into the June, July zone, but then it's been really sideways. I don't love this. I think if I were a betting man, I would buy a 60 put or sell a 60 put. If I wanted to get involved in this chart, I would go all the way to August and I would sell the 60 put to try to, hey, listen, put me to that stock and I'll be in great shape, right? That $60 would be an incredible price for Umbrella, and it would really be $55.10. And so that would be what I would do there, because it gives me a good floor of support that I think these guys are going to hold. Other than that, it's sideways, and the vol I mean, the vol's not bad. If you wanted to do an iron condor, you could. Look, so many more puts to calls right now, which it could surprise, most definitely. But the question is, if you're positioning here, why do you want to get in this trade, right? Why? And so you could be a smarty pants and go, because I think it's going up. Yeah, but what makes you think that? And there's nothing that says, hey, this is definitely going to move to the upside. Let's take a look. The estimate for earnings is negative 40 cents. The one before that was 16. Oh, look at this. This
So
is interesting.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna, I don't know. I'm looking here at Ambarella,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even count it here. It looks like they surprise on EPS every single report. Going back to 2013,
They
I
have bad
have a
analysts.
what?
They have bad analysts.
Yeah, I have a beat on EPS, a surprise percent to the upside on EPS on every single report. Now, the revenue, there have been a handful of misses, but this, for the most part, is a beat too. I think they're working on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 quarters in a row, beating both those estimates.
Yeah. So, and that obviously has nothing to do with whether they get acquisitioned, or whether people acquire or distribute, right? It's just sideways because we've been sitting in a 3-year box. So the question is, will this area at the top of the box hold? My thought is, if you absolutely love these guys and you're into them, then after earnings, if it comes into this 71 to 75 area, then 3 days after that, you get a long, it'll move upward, and then seasonality only takes us into the end of December. So we could look at the January event and say, you know what, after the earnings, wherever it is, maybe I buy the 90 to 100 call spread. 90 to 100 call spread, and that will give me $1,000 of upside. So it'll be up 3 to 1 in terms of price. But this thing is, if this fades like it might after earnings, depending on what the guidance says, if you pick this up for $2, I think it's a pretty solid trade. You just have to get rid of it before January kicks in, because it's got a rough go of it really into the new year, right? It usually gives back a ton in that space. So that's what I would say. What's the next one?
Deer, ticker DE.
DE. All right. DE, watching the time. All right. So we know machinery going to be a big deal, building all those data centers.
Oh yeah.
These guys probably going to follow Caterpillar, which had truly the most magnificent earnings event of its existence. And we have upward trend. I think I bet you that the spreads or the option stats are yeah. So about 800 more calls than puts. And so let me peek at the seasonality again. Pretty bullish. So the question is, what do you expect from the move? If you're trading the quick trade, it's got 36% vol. So $36 is what they're pricing into this one. Options are really thin here. So if we go half, 520, 311, 992 is the 500 mark. If it moves like Caterpillar did, you don't want to have a butterfly here. You don't. You're going to get shredded. And so if you say, hey, I want to buy the 500, 520 call spread, it's pretty stinking expensive. If you want to buy the 510, 520 call spread, it's 378. You could go down here, a lot of premium sitting around here. You could sell the 470 and buy the 460 short put, and you would pay for almost all of that call spread. It's very far away, so it's sitting right on the edge of what the vol might be if it actually comes back, $37, right? But it will give you a pretty nice play. Now, if you did this and you went to January, you're going to get it. Ooh, it's way more expensive there. That's interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, you give it a little more time to run, which would be great for both the calls and the puts. But this is a pretty expensive spread. If you're thinking, hey, what if it does do something like Caterpillar and it moves up 20%? That's, $100 just about, or something like that, right? And so if you're saying, hey, what's my YOLO trade here? You might do, they've got 400 of them sitting at 540. You could do the 540 to 550 long call. And if you did the 460 to 470 short put, you got it paid for. And so if it does nothing, you still make money. If it moves up a little bit, you're going to make money. If it continues to move up, you're going to make all that money. So there's some, that trade looks good.
Okay.
That trade looks good.
Okay. Awesome stuff. There you go, Jay. Good suggestions on some of that. Anne-Marie, you going to be here to close out Black Friday and close out the week?
Absolutely.
Just wanted to make sure. I'm going to be extremely excited on that morning, despite having a lot of food and wine the day before.
Yes.
So I am ready. I am ready for Black Friday. Bring it on. All right. Anne-Marie, really good stuff today. Thank you. Have a good one. And if I don't see you, have a great Thanksgiving with your family.
You too.
All right. Will
Thanks,
do.
everybody.
Take care. That is Anne-Marie Band. Folks, we are done here for today. No Paul Meeks today on the holiday week. He'll be back, though. Don't worry about that. We will be back tomorrow. We got happy hour tonight for pro members. Our show will be back tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. And if you watch Oak Island like I do, let's hope we get some good news about the recent find. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.